Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you guys doing today? I want to hear some voices. I miss human interactions, people. So, fantastic. Believe me, it's going to be a great and amazing turnout today. Startup pitches, amazing and very inspirational keynotes, not to mention, of course, very distinguished panelists that are joining us from all over Africa and from Morocco to be here today to celebrate and to learn and to connect and above all, human interactions, as I was saying. God, we missed that. I am Khadija Ihsan, and oh, where's my picture? And it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Plug and Play Morocco and its partners, the University Mohammed VI Polytechnic Mohammed VI, and its startup campus Startgate, to the second edition of the Plug and Play Morocco Expo Days. A round of applause for this great initiative. After a delay outside of our control, we finally get to meet here today of a certainly long list of acceleration programs held in Morocco. Expo Day stands, as I was mentioning, for exposing brilliant ideas, and we have booths there of all the startups that are going to be pitching throughout this afternoon. We're going to learn, we're going to connect and celebrate a unique networking opportunities since all the big and major players are here with us today. Big corporations, big African corporations, key government institutions, and of course investors. And for the startuppers that are going to be pitching later on, and not to put more pressure on you guys, you got to give it all you got, and maybe a ticket to the Silicon Valley or becoming a Moroccan liquor, but because at the end of the day, it's part of a strategy to put also Morocco on the map, and maybe that's an excellent opportunity to share vision of a startup nation and a startup continent. Not to say more, just a little idea about the program. We have 2 rounds of pitches, 2 panel discussions, not, of course, to mention an ending in beauty with investment and partnership announcements. Let's kick off the activities with the greetings speech by one of the people behind this great initiative. I'm calling on stage with a warm round of applause, Aziz Al-Hashim, Director, North Africa of Plug and Play Tech Center. floor
Thank you.
is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm humbled and proud to be amongst you today. My name is Aziz Hicham, and I'm a director for Plug and Play Tech Center. 3 years ago, I joined Plug and Play in San Francisco. Hello, sir. How are you? 2 years ago, I joined Plug and Play in San Francisco, and then I had the opportunity to move to Africa in order to expand Plug and Play's activities in the region. So we started with Morocco being our first office in Africa, and then we moved to South Africa, and now we're very proud to finally launch a third office in Egypt. So I want to start by thanking our partners, who without them, none of this would have happened. Startgate, UMC-SPE, and OCP. But most importantly, I want to thank my team. I want to start with Salina Amini, our program manager, with Wisal Ben Talib, our PR and communications lead, and with Diego Arias, our ventures champion. Thank you, thank you. It's also very important to mention that we have lovely investors with us who flew all the way from different, let's say, countries. We have with us Idris Bello, straight from Nigeria, out of Lofty Inc. We have Nora Brahim, out of Impact Trade Finance Fund, straight from Egypt. We have Tiziana Bombasi, also from Egypt, representing SeedStars. We have Mohammed Ikrar, venture partner at Launch Africa, from Sudan. We have Sabrine Shahrour, straight from Senegal, representing Partech. And we have Serine Ben Fadel, Global Ventures, from Dubai. I want to start by telling you a bit more about us, who we are and what we do in this ecosystem. So Plug and Play was founded by Saeed Amini, and technically the whole story started back in the 70s, 80s. So he was Iranian, and there was the Shah revolution at that time. So he had to reallocate from Iran. So he reallocated from Iran, and he moved to Silicon Valley, Palo Alto more specifically. So there he bought a building facing Stanford University. It was a 3-floor building, and on the first floor he had a rock store. And the 2 other floors, he used to rent them as office space. So one of his clients from the rock stores, he came to him and he presented him a small startup by the name of Google. There were only 2 people at that time. They needed investment and office space. So he managed to put in one of the first checks, and he gave them also office space. But the story doesn't end. After Google came PayPal, Logitech, and then Danger, which is Android. You know it by Android. So fast forward 30 years, we now do 3 main things. We are an accelerator program, and technically this accelerator program is sponsored by corporate or government entities within the ecosystems, and it's driven by their tech interest. And the second, it's totally free for the startups. It's very important to mention. So, hello, Smile. Basically, our second business line is corporate innovation. We work with those companies in order to digitalize them internally, in order to solve their problems in terms of startup solutions. And which gets us to our third business line, which is venture capital. So as soon as we see synergies between the corporates and the startups, this is where we invest. And this is why we have a winning portfolio. So those are some of the corporates that trust us around the world. We have more than 500 blue chip corporations. So here in Morocco, we have OCP and UMC-SPE. And then those are the programs that we operate in. In Africa, we're focused mainly on smart cities, which is kind of an umbrella that englobes multiple industries. Let's say logistics, fintechs. Fintech is very important in this ecosystem because basically it's a structure, base structure for everything. So this is those are some of our unicorns. I'm very proud to announce that last year alone, we got 10 unicorns. And then we're expecting beautiful results in the upcoming years. So this is our footprint around the world. In Africa, as I already mentioned, we have Morocco, South Africa, and soon we'll be launching in Cairo. So in terms of Cairo, we are very, very, very happy to announce our new office. So our new office would be out of Sultan Hussein Camel Palace, which is a 300, 400 years old palace. It's a beautiful place. I hope you guys visit us there. Basically, we have a couple of corporates and government entities supporting us. So in terms of government, we have ITIDA, which is the innovation arm of the Communication Ministry, and then we have USAID. And then in terms of corporates, we will be disclosing 2 leading corporates next week, let's say, one in the logistics space and the other in the fintech space I think you're going to like them as well. So maybe enough about the whole ecosystem and plug and play. Maybe let's talk a bit about Morocco. So I mentioned last batch and last expo. In this ecosystem, it's still a virgin ecosystem. It's still a new ecosystem. If you are here today, that means you are one of the key ecosystem players in this market. But that also means that you have key social and economic responsibility to play towards this ecosystem. Us at Plug and Play, what we do best is bridge gaps, is connect people and expect outcomes out of it. Quality connections, of course. In terms of funding, Morocco got 30 million out of the 5.5, let's say, this is the average, funding injected in Africa, which is super, super low. We're still at a very, very early stage. So help us play our role by playing yours. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for very inspirational words and message, Aziz. And now, Colin, since you mentioned the importance of venture in the plug and play strategy, I'm calling Diego Arias Garcia on stage, and we're applauding him, of course. So what is the keynote about,
Thank you.
Diego?
Thank you. So, sorry, I'm going to get out of the middle. I want to talk to you a little bit about this stage of venture capital in Africa. This is not going to be a lecture. It will be sort of a very high-level overview. So we can talk about some of the successes, some of the things that have been going right, and what to expect in the coming years. So maybe if I could have a clicker, actually, I'll go through the slides. Thank you. Awesome. So, yeah, venture activity in Africa. It's been an extraordinary year. So I want to sort of kick things off by addressing two things. Talking about Africa as a whole is not the approach we love. It's a huge continent. It has an incredible population, and there's vast differences across markets. Not just geographically, but this includes, in terms of regulations, maturity of the ecosystems, and this has been addressed, right, by even the amount of funding that gets to one country versus another, right? When we compare, for example, Nigeria with, Tunisia or Morocco or Côte d'Ivoire, there's vast differences. So we don't want to treat Africa as a whole, but we do see some common threads emerging across the continent. Of course, we, for our research and for this presentation, we use the three best sources of data in the continent: Britter Bridges, Partech, and Africa the Big Deal. They all collect data different ways, so we've tried to average the data to sort of get, common content and give you sort of rough figures while respecting the integrity of the data. So let's talk about the key figures. Here are some of the things we see. There were between 700 and 800 fundraising rounds, which has been excellent. More than 5.4 billion, roughly, depending on how you count it, was raised, including debt and equity, which is outstanding. It's a 250% increase from last year. However, it's important to keep in mind that 3/4 of this funding landed in the four main economies, which are Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, and Kenya. So, as we spoke about Partech, we got this great map from them, and this sort of represents what are the key hotspots for activity in the continent. As I mentioned, Nigeria attracted $1.8 billion, which is roughly 30% of all the funds raised. It's an incredible ecosystem, it's thriving, but there's more ecosystems coming out to play. So of course, South Africa raised almost $1 billion on its own, Egypt coming in third place with more than 600 million. And then interestingly enough, Kenya dropped off the top 3 into the top 4 position, and Senegal made the top 5 for the first time in sort of the recent years. Then this is trailed off by Ghana, which is the 6th player. And then we look at different markets. Morocco is actually on the 11th position with $33 million raised. So this puts us as a very, very unique position, which is, we need to see this in perspective and understand where we were a few years ago and where we are today. And this is what, this is why we think it's such an exciting time. If you look at the data, there were 5.4 billion raised last year, which is more than all the amount combined over the past 4 years. Moreover, this year there was 1 billion raised in 7 weeks. So this year, I'm sure it's going to smash the records, and we really are in for a treat. Because these are some of the things we want to discuss, right? We want to see what are the sectors that are mainly driving this transformation? Of course, fintech is king of all kings. They attracted almost 60% of all funding. And what's interesting about fintech is that actually, in some of the top geographies, it represents between 50 and 90% of all deals. So fintech is really one of the main drivers behind the tech transformation in Africa. Of course, we're seeing other sectors, as you can see here, and we'll compare them by amount and deal count, but you can see that logistics is playing a key role, education, healthcare. So as you know, the central sectors of each economy are being transformed, we're going to see growing activity, and it's going to be ever more exciting year on year. So we're very excited about some of these things, right? We've mentioned the deal count. We see fintech with 220 deals and a number of other verticals that, even though they have less deals, they raise more funds. Or on the flip side, they have more deals, but with smaller ticket sizes. The main thing to take out of this is fintech and funding in Africa is growing, and we can see that there's a lot more seed stage fundraise. So we've had more than 500 rounds of seed stage, seed stage fund rounds. So what that ensures is that over the coming years, we're going to have a very healthy pipeline of growth stage startups, which is something that we hadn't seen in the continent. That said, one of the main drivers behind this year's outsized activity are mega deals. So when we talk about mega deals, we talk between $50 million and $100 million rounds, which are some of the ones you can see here, including SEPS, Zipline, OPay, Tala, Jumo, Chipper, etc., and of course Flutterwave with the most recent round a couple of weeks ago. So these roughly 12, 13 deals represent more than 50% of the funding that was raised. So it's important to put that into perspective, right? But one of the things that, to echo the words of what Aziz had just said is, if you're here, it's because not only you play a key role in the Moroccan ecosystem, but you play a key role in the African ecosystem. And while it's an exciting time, we all have to continue working together to make it an ecosystem that continues to be attractive, surpassing LATAM, which it has done it already this year, and Southeast Asia. So we're really at a unique position for us to make a difference in the ecosystem, continue growing it, and bring transformative technologies to life. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved in sort of helping us make this happen, from the investors that have joined us today to the startups, our partners, and the team. We couldn't do this without you, and we're all part of this same, we're all part of this same race. So we're looking forward to continuing working with all of you in really reshaping the tech ecosystem in Africa. So thank you for your time, and now I will pass it over.
Thank you, Diego. And it's time to start with the pitches, the first round of pitches, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll start with the Wafr pitch. I'm calling it on stage. And he's coming. Just to put more stress on him. Applause.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, smile, as you can see it. So I'm one of the co-founders of a startup named Wafr. And basically, we build Wafr because in emerging markets, 90% of fast-moving consumer goods company sales are done in small grocers, just like this one that you can see here. And inside those stores, as you can see, you have several brands that are basically selling the same product at the same price. And it becomes really, really hard for them to make people switch from this brand to that brand, especially because it's impossible, it's structurally impossible to make promotions inside those stores, both for the grocer or for the final buyer. So this is basically why we built Wafr. Wafr are two smartphone apps, one for the grocer and the other one for the user, with two very specific value proposals. So as a grocer, when you push the brands that we have inside our app, you basically grow your margins, you earn more. And as a client, each time you buy a product that is inside our app, you get a promotion immediately when you buy. It works very easily. You just have to flash the code bar and everything works. And basically, for our partners, the FMCG companies, growing sales because a mechanic, because in each grocer, the grocer will push, the grocer who is the seller, will push a group of brands, and it will be easy to push because people will have a promotion when they choose this brand rather than the other one. And people here in emerging markets are super, super, super price sensitive. So promotions is a huge leverage that doesn't exist. We started up a few months ago, and as you can see it, both on the grocer and user, we are growing fast. The numbers that you are seeing here are compounded. It means that each month we go back to 0. This is our retention. We grow only because we have a strong retention. We just have to make people in the top of our funnel, and the growth is here. This is our revenue. We basically had 0 revenue back in April, and we did $65,000 as a revenue last month. So yes, this is revenue, not GMV, not marketplace transaction volume, not whatsoever. This is revenue. So even though we are in Africa and economies are small, the grocers market is unbelievably big. Here in Morocco, it's a $20 billion market. All over Africa, it's a $600 billion market. So very big market. And we are a team of 2 co-founders. We, both of us know how to execute. Both of us scaled businesses before starting up Wafr. If there are 3 things that I would like you guys to remember is that we are solving a real problem that is structural to the FMCG market all over the emerging markets, that this market is unbelievably big, and that we found a real product market fit. We are super excited to meet all of you, so please come meet me afterwards. Thank you.
Hello. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm Omar, co-founder of iSense. I don't know. Okay. So back in 2017, as engineers working for a maintenance service company, we were faced with a failing crasher with our mining client OCP. The crusher is the main input of the chain, and it's a huge bearing broke while not being available in the spare parts stock. Such incidents cost a huge amount of money, and on average, a crusher costs $6 million per year. A predictive maintenance strategy didn't exist, and we wish it existed. So we need a tool that will notify us about alarms based on data for this equipment, and to identify the failing components of this equipment and what action should we take to prevent such failure. Going back to the market, there are 3 main players that we categorize as computation experts, interface and champions, and technical players. I'm sorry, can I go back? Oh, but the core need is to have an all-in-one solution, an affordable solution that combines hardware, maintenance technical know-how, and machine learning capabilities. Our key differentiator parameters are we have a team that has more than 15 years in the maintenance field, and that's combining also data analysis, reliability, and maintenance features. And also we consider ourselves as first movers in the domain, and as we started benchmarking, developing our property solutions with our IP since 2011. So we want to democratize predictive maintenance. iSense is about monitoring technical modules and predictive analytics. It allows ingestion and aggregation of data coming from multiple sources to have centralized views. For example, we can have incident tracking, purchasing of spare parts interfaces through data coming from CMMS and ERP systems. iSense exists also in mobile formats. Through the AR feature, we can visualize data on-site or to assist in maintenance operations. For the technical tools, we integrated advanced tools in web format. Also, for the predictive part, we predict the failing component of a machine and the remaining useful life of the machine. Also, one thing that is very important in maintenance is that showing just predictions is abstract to end users. So the interpretability feature provides why those predictions were made in human understandable words. Where to sell license? We defined an evolving business territory starting from Morocco. Once we collect in our local market, we intend to move to Africa, Middle East before scaling to the world. Our targets are mainly manufacturing plants having rotating machines. For now, we implemented iSense within 3 different sectors with 3 different companies, and we reach around $250,000. For our projections for the 5 next years, we intend to reach $18 million in Morocco and Africa, Middle East by selling software, hardware, and engineering. Through this pricing model, so the customer pays only for what he uses. So we have a subscription model, billing per sensor for the cloud use, and per pack for the case of local hosting on customer premises. So for our latest news, and at the end of 2021, we participated in Africa AI and IoT Challenge that was held in Dubai as part of EEE AI and IoT conference, where more than 700 startups participated from Africa and to competed for the first prize that we won. And we were received by the Minister of Digital Transformation as a Moroccan pride. So we couldn't achieve this without our diverse team with coming from different backgrounds: software, hardware, sales, marketing, and a lot of other options. So what are we looking for now? So we need assistance with our growth through local projects with private companies and local governments in other fields, for example, the steel, energy, oil, and gas. Yeah, so that's all, and thank you.
Go, go.
So next, Deepecho.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Sad. I'm a medical doctor, I'm a radiology resident, and I'm also the chief medical officer of Deepecho. So Deepecho is a startup that aims at democratizing access to fetal ultrasound. And I'd like to start with a few words about why it's important and what is the state of fetal health right now. Basically, there are 450 newborn children that die every hour, and that's frankly a huge and unacceptable numbers, mostly from preventable causes. 99% of said preventable causes occur in countries of the global south. But fortunately, we have an efficient tool that can reduce this mortality by up to 20%, and that tool is fetal ultrasound. And fetal ultrasound, all of you might know what it is. That's basically when a pregnant person goes to the doctor, and the doctor uses a probe to check and see if the baby is fine or not. It is an efficient tool, but it comes with its own downsides. For example, it's pretty lengthy. It takes up to 30 minutes. There are at least 100 fetal structures that needs to be analyzed, and there are not enough people who know how to do it. 99% of radiology departments in the US are understaffed, and in Africa, only 40% of practitioners have received formal training. So that's not okay, I guess. What we're trying to do and how we're tackling that pain point is by getting machine learning algorithms to automate parts of the work of a sonographer. In the US, that would mean that we are alleviating the work and the workload of the sonographers. In Africa, that would mean that we're enabling non-trained healthcare personnel to actually achieve part of the examination. And it's a pretty interesting time to get into this kind of endeavor because there are at least 280 million fetal ultrasound scans that are performed every year. That's 280 million examinations that might need the help of a solution such as ours. And the market of computer-aided diagnosis with AI is estimated to reach $8 billion by 2025. It has a huge growth rate of 40%. Let's now get to the sciencey and medical part of what we're doing. We have actually started by tackling two of the major conditions that are associated with fetal mortality, and those are fetal growth restriction. That's basically when the fetus is actually smaller or tinier than what it should be, and amniotic fluid volume abnormalities, because there's water, amniotic fluid around the fetus, and there can be trouble if there is too much or too little. And what we did is actually from video feeds, actually automated the full diagnostic workflows. And I'm going to show you how we did that. So what you're seeing on the screen is a fetal brain. And the model is actually recognizing that is a brain, it's segmenting it almost in real time, and it's going to get me back a value that I need, which is the head circumference, basically. It's going to do the same for the femur. That's the bone we have in the thigh. The white thingy over there. So it's recognizing it, segmenting it, getting me back a value that I need. Again, it's going to do the same for the abdomen. And those three values are essential to diagnose fetal growth restriction, and there can be errors in measuring them. And at last, for the amniotic fluid volume, basically the black matter, that's water, basically. It's measuring the height in order to assess the quantity of amniotic fluid volume. Numbers are cool, measurements are cool. But what is interesting to me as a physician is did this fetus have something? Was there something that should worry me as a physician? And the answer, unfortunately, was yes. The fetus did have a fetal growth restriction, and the model and the physician were able to diagnose it. We went even further than that, and we actually tested the models in a clinical trial, the first of its kind in the world, to the best of our knowledge. And we went to work with 4 different university hospitals in a prospective fashion. We gathered more than 200,000 images from more than 5,000 patients, and we tested the model prospectively on 130 patients. And the really early results all point to the fact that the models actually work and that there is no statistically significant difference between them and the physician. So what's next for Deepecho? We are proud partners of Microsoft for Startups and have been for a year now, and they suggested that we go to the US and deploy our solution because, according to them, we are a good fit with the US market. We are also working with telemedicine platforms, that's a more global market, and we started working with the Moroccan Society of Telemedicine, and I really, really love this video. That's a video feed that was taken from a village in the mountains of Morocco, and the doctor was actually in Casablanca. But prior to our solution, they're not able currently to perform the measurements that we saw. With Deepecho, potentially they could, and they could diagnose fetal growth restriction and amniotic fluid volume abnormalities and potentially save lives. So to sum it up briefly, we're wrapping up our clinical studies, preparing to go to the US, and are already working with telemedicine platforms. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna give the mic to Abdelghafour with Pega Health.
Hello everyone, my name is Harraz Abdelghafour and I'm the founder and CEO of Pega Health. So I just want to start by giving some context about health insurance in Morocco. We're talking about a very fragmented market, very little adoption of electronic health records, and a lot of issues with the distribution. And this is something that impacts directly the experience of the end user or the end client. So he has to go through a very difficult healthcare system just to find himself at the end having to interact with his insurer in a similarly frustrating experience. This is why we've created Pega Health. Pega Health, the insurance solution that promises to its member transparency, simplicity with the best user experience in the market, and sorry about that, and tracking of all transactions between the member and the insurer, be it for reimbursement, care, capitals, or consumption. And this is something that is already being rolled out to our clients. So one of our use cases is lead generation for our partners. They just need to go to Pega Health, configure some health insurance plan, choose the channel of distribution, publish it, and start enrolling or onboarding people. Once these clients are onboarded, we equip them with a portal, a HR and admin portal that allows them to track KPIs, do invoicing, invite more members, and most importantly, bypass or get out of the path of interaction between the insurer and the member. And we do that by giving a mobile app to the member that allows him to interact, like I said, directly with his insurer, and on the same time interact with a whole listing of care professionals to advise him and guide him through his medical journey. Since we've launched, we've been working primarily with small and medium businesses that are looking for digital tools to manage social benefits for their employees, or freelancers and independents that are looking for coverages but are not aware that there are something there for them. And all of that has been done thanks to our amazing team that has all of the tech, product, business, and strategy expertise to get Pega Health to where it belongs, and our business model that we've been able to create in a very difficult market. So we might wonder why now? Because there is a clear ambition by the king to roll out universal health coverages. The regulator is digitizing and is restructuring the market, and we are seeing a lot of new trends that are coming from our clients. So we have all of the ingredients to address a digital broker opportunity in Morocco. And the market is just huge. So we are talking about $70 billion of premium, health premium that were issued or that are issued annually in Africa. 7 billion out of them are for brokering, and 75% of that market is located in South Africa. So we can imagine the potential of things that we can do in the rest of the African countries to just at least catch up with the South African market. Since we've launched, we've been seeing some signals of traction with a 2.6 month-over-month growth in our customer base. And if we continue with this pace, we will land at around $5 million by 2026. And we are going to do that because we have a clear vision about what we are going to push as product, who we are going to hire as talents, and countries in Africa that we want, that are of interest to us, that we want to expand to. Thank you very much, and if you are interested, we are here to discuss more about Pega Health. Now I give the mic to Noury.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Hamza. Her name is Nada. We come from the National School of Business and Management. We are 20 years old, and we are the co-founders of startup Noury. Before we begin our presentation, I would like to share with you our experience before arriving at this stage today. So we are selected along with 11 teams in the Hackathon Smart Cities, and we won its first prize. So this allowed us to attend several focus weeks in Ben Gurion, and we had the chance to meet a lot of mentors who helped us to develop our project technically and theoretically. So as you can conclude, and admittedly for all of you, Noury is an emergent startup, but for both of us, it was a challenge because the area where our project is dragging out may seem very far from ours, but it was never a break, reader engine, because we built an ecosystem of collaborators, powerful, competent, but above all, confident.
So electricity seems to be necessary in every Moroccan household. So here is an overview of the future electricity demand in 2030. So next. So the increase of electricity bills is a real problem here in Morocco. So over 6,000 complaints of overbilling were presented only in the start of the the COVID-19 period, and so yeah.
So as you can say, I have not been able to pinpoint the real problem that you just mentioned. So can you explain more?
So they often say if you want to find a solution to a problem, you should go back to its source or to its origin. So in this case, lack of visibility on energy consumption here in Morocco is the real problem. So like to be facing this, Noury proposes it's actually an IoT solution it proposes a sensor linked to a mobile application who help each individual having or tracking its energy consumption in real time, and then making remarkable energy and money savings. So and also reduce like the carbon footprint. And so Noury, Noury sends a lot of alerts and notifications in case of, for example, anomalies, and send you many advices to reduce the energy consumption. So by strategically having or controlling energy consumption, you can realize till 25% of energy savings per year. About our target, we are targeting individuals like households and particulars, and also companies, agencies, offices, etc. And we are planning to adapt our product to industrial areas as well.
So for the financial side, or the sale price of our sensor, is fixed in 400 dirhams with free access to the standard version, which gives you a general visibility to your consumption and a monthly balance sheet, while the premium version is fixed in 99 dirhams and gives you an array of offers like a specific visibility to each household appliance, a detection of short circuits, and a daily assessment of your energy consumption, and a lot of things. So I take this opportunity to thank our partners, because they have trusted us throughout our adventure. And a big thanks to Plug and Play for the opportunity and for all the support.
And so to be finishing, I'd like to say that the real competition now for our startup is not about our competitors, our few competitors in the market, but rather it's the level of expectations of our customers. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Very interesting and very diverse. Startups first round was a real success. I do believe, just watching the audience, and everybody was really interested and listening very carefully to what has been pitched. We will, of course, have a second round of pitches later. But before, first, our panel discussion is about, one of the most important components. It's about funding in Africa, funding, of course, startups in Africa. And I will now welcome on stage, and please join me to start the first panel. Yasser Biaz, Director at UMCSP Ventures. Noura Ibrahim, Principal. You can join me if you're in the room. Noura Ibrahim, Principal at Impact Trade Finance Fund. Kenza Lahlou, Co-founder and General Partner at Outliers. Idris Bello, Funding Partner at Loftlink. And this panel, yes, I think they must be already discussing the future in the lounge room. Yassin Biaz. Hi. And Kenza Lahlou. By the way, I will be moderating the second panel about regulations in Morocco, and I think a lot of people are concerned with the regulations of Morocco. But now, concerning this panel discussion, it will be moderated by Tiziana Bombassé, Regional MENA Manager at Seed Stars. It's not me. Hi. Good. Tizia. Idris Bello, please. All the way from Nigeria, right? Your mic. Okay. Enjoy.
Tiziana's not here yet. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll get.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here and being present, participating in this discussion about the African investment landscape. So today I'm super happy to be on stage with Kenza. Kenza is managing the Outliers Fund. So I bet all of you know about Outliers. Essentially a seed stage fund focusing on the African continent with a focus on Morocco, on Egypt, on Kenya, and on Nigeria. That focuses on tech-enabled startups. I think the particularity of your experience is really that you pioneered the VC landscape in Morocco by focusing on the African continent, which kind of was a first back then when you first launched. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Then we have Yasser. Who doesn't know Yasser? Yasser is the one guy that has 1 billion ideas per second. He founded, and manages the UM6P ventures, exactly, with a focus on tech-enabled startups, so your typical B2B, B2C, B2B2C, but also does a lot of deep and hard tech, which is really where I think your USP lies. So super happy to have you with us today. My pleasure. And then we have Nora. Nora is an outlier on the panel in the sense that you work around debt. You work for Impact Trade Finance Fund, which is an Egypt-based fund. It's the first homegrown venture debt fund for tech companies. And you also work with SMEs, so not venture debt, but mostly debt. So great to have you here. I think it's a great addition to all the equity discussions going around.
Thank you.
And then, of course, Idris, also. Who doesn't know Idris? Idris is the one guy who is in 7 countries on the continent at the same time. Quite incredible. So Idris, you have a really long experience, actually, in the space, not only in VC, but also in angel investment. You co-founded the Winnovate Hub. You are also a super active angel investor, and you federated angels in Nigeria, but also outside of Nigeria. And you are now a managing partner at Love Team Capital, and you have I think the specificity, and I'm going to dig a bit here on your three funds, which I didn't do for you guys, but we can jump at it a bit later. So your funds are, on the one hand, VC with your second fund, if I'm not mistaken. Your first fund was slightly different in the sense that it's an evergreen that syndicates angel investors, which is kind of a first on the continent back when you launched. And your third fund is super interesting because it mirrors the VC model, but your LPs are mostly angel investors that were already, by the way, part of your first fund, which is a super interesting model. So maybe we can actually start by this, right? If we look at the early stage landscape on the continent, angel investment is on the rise, right? In 2010, we had, if I'm not mistaken, 3-4 angel investment federations in Lagos and Cairo, and then Carthage Business Angels. And we now see more than 100 of you guys on the continent. Can you dig a bit more into the VC AI hybrid format, and what are the trends there, and how does it come to complement the VC landscape?
Yeah, definitely. Merci beaucoup. Yeah. And that's all the French I know. Took French for 3 years, but forgotten everything. so thank you. It's a pleasure to be back here in Morocco. I was here, I think, 7 years ago, briefly. So when I look at the landscape, so personally, I've been involved in the African investments since 2010, when we founded the Innovation Hub in Lagos, and then 2012, when we co-founded the Lagos Angel Network, right? And so you've seen an evolution of the ecosystem for when startups were a reality, right? It was even hard for you to find a few founders to invest in. And so and the ecosystem has grown now to the point where, you know what, every single day you have 30, 40 decks coming out. So usually I like to break the ecosystem, the landscape down into like 3 distinct periods: 2010 to 2015, 2016 to 2020, and then afterwards. So in 2010 to 2015, you saw mostly tech hubs coming up, starting with the iHub in Kenya, right? And that led to us doing Innovation Hub in Lagos and a couple of other hubs. They were mostly grant-backed, right? And the idea was really just create a space for young people to come in and try to create ideas, right? And I dare say at that point in time, we were not even looking at investing, right? And if I look back then, in 2012, when we co-founded the Lagos Angel Network, the idea was, can you find local angels to support these founders? And the idea of tech investing was still very new. Nobody had anything knew anything about unicorns, right, or about exits. So you had that period from 2010 to 2014, 15, right? Now, there were a couple of things that happened after that. So 2013, we invested in what became Andela, right? So we wrote some of the early checks into Andela in Fora, which became Andela in 2013. And then in 2016, Mark Zuckerberg invested in Andela and visited Lagos. And that was a very transformational visit because a lot of folks then started paying attention to the ecosystem, right? Particularly in Nigeria and West Africa, and looked to invest. That was the same year you had Flutterwave start, right? And we invested in the pre-seed of Flutterwave back then too, right? But then you saw that 2016 to 2020, where there was more interest, more announcements were made, and you started seeing people go from just being angels to funds being formed. But even at that point in time, a lot of the funds were external funds. They were from the US, from other places. And that was what you saw until the end of 2020. But I think the third period started with COVID. When COVID came, just transformed everything. Because prior to that, for you to fundraise, mostly at Series A, Series B, you'd have to go to the valley, right? You'd have to travel physically. Even for LPs, for you to raise as a fund, you have to travel. But with COVID, people started taking calls on Zoom, investing on Zoom, and I think people being home, more angels just grew interested in the whole space. And so we saw a boom of investment happen. So even within, so we run an angel network, and by 2020, we had about 60, 70 angels. By beginning of 2020. By the end of 2020, that had grown to over 200 angels. So within a year, we saw almost a 3x in investment interest from the angels. And now you see a lot of funds also coming up. And again, I think if you look at the numbers from last year and this year, just going to continue to go up. It's not evenly spaced across all the countries, right? We talk about the big 4, but then you now have, I say the next 2. The next 3 actually, Ghana, Morocco, and Senegal. They're actually following the big 4 right now. But I think increasingly, if there's a local support, if there's local engagement, you're going to see a lot of this continue to go up.
Yeah, thank you. Super, super interesting, and definitely touches upon the trends, right, that we see, and also that bridge between angel investment and VC. And here, Ken, it would be super interesting to hear your thoughts on the market evolution that Idris just mentioned, right? Did you see similar trends? How do you see that complementarity of jumping from AI to angel investment to VC?
Sure, thank you. And I think Dries has given a great perspective on the evolution of the ecosystem in Africa. And I think we started very early in this ecosystem. I've been working on the ecosystem since 2012 in Morocco, and then seeing across Africa with seed stars, by the way, at that time. And I've seen really this evolution that started with tech hubs in the beginning. I think this is exactly that, around the world, across the continent. And then moved to early stage funding with accelerators, and then to VCs, and later on, later stage funding coming into the continent. So I think what's interesting is that maybe in 2017 is the time actually we started out with Outliers Ventures, and we started from day one, as you said, as an Africa-focused fund, because we understood that the opportunity was really in Africa, and that if you want to find the right founders, it's not, I mean, it's really a continental play. And there are great founders in each of those ecosystems, but the reality is that some tech hubs are taking the bulk of it, but the others are coming up. So we are very excited about what's happening on the continent, and Morocco and Francophone Africa, also very interesting markets that are coming up. So I think what's interesting to see now is that we started with a lot of seed funding was still missing on the continent, because the opportunity is really at seed stage. So the number of deals currently on the continent is more concentrated at seed. So I think in the latest Partech report, over 681 rounds in 2021. And thank you, Sabrine, we have to say that. Thank you, Sabrine from Partech. So over those rounds, 500 of them are in seed. So it means that the opportunity is still at early stage. However, those companies that raise funding are now going to Series A, and then later on to Series B. So it's starting to, we're starting to see very interesting opportunities at Series A and B. And what happened as well is that there are some large funds that have been created in Africa. So to name a few, Partech Ventures, TLCom, Orange Ventures, and others. And now, international VCs are coming up. So we're starting to see the like of Tiger Global coming in and leading Series A and B rounds. We're seeing Sequoia Capital and others coming. And this is a proof that there is a maturity of this ecosystem, and there are many more interesting opportunities to take.
Yeah. For sure, thanks a lot. And that ties nicely with the discussion we actually had yesterday evening about the fact of having those external players entering the African market. And I think, yes, you have a very clear, I don't know, but a clear idea about the roadmap that you'd like to see for innovation on the continent. I know you don't really like borders, but we'll do with that for now. And I think you had a very interesting perspective also on advancing scientific innovation on the continent, which maybe goes from grassroots goes from the continent, African solutions for the African continent. Of course, it's a big continent. Yeah, would love to hear your thoughts.
All right, so thank you very much. So indeed, we are the early stage ventures firm for UM6P and OCP Group. And we've essentially focused on pre-Series A. And obviously, we had to tackle two essentially demographics, two profiles of investment. One that is that of just pure entrepreneurship, meaning that you're mostly in digital. And so it's essentially, you know, the startuppers kind of, so we take like minority position. And the way we address that is by way of two things, two layers. One layer is programs, and the other layer is funding. And our mission is to ensure that together with the ecosystem, we can trace a gradient that goes from 0 to a solid Series A. So when I talk about programs, be it, you know, our own or partners. And so we work with many, you know, incubators, accelerators, business angels, and VCs. And our investments are intentional to push that gradient towards the Series A. So I mean, that's that for pure entrepreneurship and mostly digital. Where we see most of the opportunity, especially in the continent, is around deep tech. And in deep tech, we have organized in like 3 verticals. Those are like agrobiosciences, med and health, and energy. Those are verticals. Horizontals are Industry 4.0 and AI. Why? Because AI there's no such thing as like an AI solution. It's like AI for health, AI for agriculture, or something like that. And so essentially, in order for you to be able to work on deep tech, you have to look into essentially, your project to asset transition can take many paths. So one of them is like a Series A, which is essentially, obviously, you have an opportunity that emerges out of science, but it wants to track. Essentially, you want to preserve the cap table for the startuppers, and so we have that. Another one is essentially operating companies, and so often, especially like in open innovation or like intrapreneurship, often you have entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs that may not want to dissociate from their institution, and in which case they can do services. And so we have a few startups, in that sense with OCP, with UM6P, and also with Green Energy Park. Another one can be JVs, and so we work on JVs, like for example, we have one with Masir. And so, obviously you have like a research institution, that's a JV, and so what you try to do is, take that, whatever, the science, how do you valorize it? How do you take, so I can actually relate to something like the startup that is called Modiac. They do molecular diagnostics, so it's like health. And obviously, so you generate the IP, you generate the idea, you have the business, and so you take it out. And then another one where you're working essentially on innovation that was kind of incubated within one of the partners, and there is maybe somebody in the industry that wants to, capture it downstream. And so the reason why I say it's really tricky is because, essentially, you're working on this thing that we call the valley of death in science. So the thing is that, you have a project, right? But it needs to be sort of like disentangled from the institution to transition onto an investable asset. And so we assure that transition. And obviously, you may have noted at least that we don't aim to be the ultimate investor. We essentially just make sure that that transition happens.
Yeah.
I think I'll just...
Yeah, no, thanks. It's super interesting, and I think you mentioned a few sectors that are super relevant to Noura's activity. You also mentioned not putting too much pressure on capex at early stage. So Noura, you work in the debt industry globally. Maybe we can focus a bit more on venture debt for the sake of this discussion. Do you want to share with us the relevance of working in venture debt on the markets that you focus on, which are mostly MENA markets?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to play a really important role as the ecosystem matures, as Kenzo was talking about. And so as we've seen over the past couple of years, it's been a huge influx of venture capital into the region, but virtually all of it has been kind of more equity dollars. And so now as companies are approaching their later rounds, Series A, Series B, and onwards, equity starts to become really, really expensive, and founders are looking for alternative sources of funding to be able to scale. And so we really believe that venture debt is going to kind of play a big role in underlining the continuity of the entrepreneurial boom that we see across the market and in other MENA markets as well. And I think this mirrors a lot of the trends that we see even in more mature entrepreneurial ecosystems abroad. So if you look at like Silicon Valley, for example, for every $7 of equity invested, there's at least $1 of venture debt invested. That's about 15% of overall venture activity. We haven't seen that yet materialize in MENA, which is our focus, but I think this holds true for other parts of Africa as well. But you're starting to see a lot more recognition from VCs that their portfolios need this kind of support, from founders themselves who are now incorporating a debt component into their next raise, so you have at least the equivalent, if not more, in debt targets as equity targets. And so I think that's just a testament to the maturity of the companies, the maturity of the ecosystem, and the direction that it's taking as it's shaping over.
Yeah, for sure. And from the entrepreneurs that you interact with, do you feel there's a need today to educate the entrepreneurs and or potentially the VC investors as well about the complementarity of both sources of funding?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the VCs definitely get it. They're looking for ways to support their portfolio companies to be able to maximize on their own investment. For the startups and for founders, I would say I think we're met with two challenges. Definitely the first one is education. Many of the founders that we speak to have never accessed debt before, so it's their first, kind of dabbling into this type of financing, and debt can sometimes be a bit scary, like the consequences of not meeting your financial obligations can be serious. And so a lot of the conversations that we have with startups are about educating them on when is the best time to raise debt, how they can use it to their advantage. There is a place for debt on any company's capital stack, but that means that you're looking at a very different structure in terms of an investment structure, a deal structure. You're looking at a very different relationship with the provider of this investment, so a lender. It's really quite different than an equity investor. So we do see a lot of that. I think we've been operating in the market for 3 years, and we've seen the market come a long way in terms of the knowledge that it now has, the awareness that founders have of where and how to access this capital. And then I think the second one still is lack of access to capital. That's the biggest challenge. So for example, one of our portfolio companies, when we first met them, they were raising an equity round where they were planning to use up to 70% of it to cover their working capital needs, which is really a huge chunk. I think equity financing is much better used for product development, strategic expansion, if you want to recruit high-level executives and kind of that C-suite level. And so after we met them, we were able to kind of reorganize their round. They were able to hold off on raising an equity round for at least a year and a bit because they were able to access debt from us. And then when they did raise, they were able to raise, one, at a higher valuation, and two, they were able to raise a smaller amount. And that just meant that they were able to hold on to their equity, their ownership a lot more. And I think that really changed their path. And we're starting to see, again, a lot of entrepreneurs looking for that kind of path to scale.
Yeah, for sure. And Idris, maybe jumping back to you. So obviously you have quite a broad vision of what happens on the investment landscape at various levels, from the angel side and from the VC side. How do you tackle that question with the founders that you interact with? Is it something that you also venture into in the discussions with them? And the question obviously also goes for Kenza and Yasser if relevant.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I think for a lot of our portfolio companies, debt is still relatively new. So we've had companies like Move Africa and a few other ones that have grown largely by debt. But I think for a lot of them, you also have to understand there's a stigma associated with it on the continent, right? So cultural stigma around debt, right? Again, and then also in most of North Africa, finding culturally or religiously appropriate debt, right? That's Sharia compliant. Yeah. So that's also a factor that we've seen. So I think with more opportunities coming out there, I think you're going to see more of that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna. Thank you very much for addressing at least that part of essentially of financing with debts and so forth. And so obviously all of this has to do with like the velocity of whatever the cost of money, right? You're buying money. So how much cost are you essentially like paying for that? So equity or debt. At least in our approach, what we try to do is address the more fundamental structure of capital in deep tech. And the reason why deep tech is also called hard tech is because you have so many barriers to entry, and those pertain to skill, but also to the amount of capital that you need. So in more advanced economies, generally, when you have an investor, they put in like dollar, and then they have leverage over non-dilutive funding. And the source for the non-dilutive funding can be of scientific origin, like for example, the National Science Foundation, or something like a small and medium business type of funding. And so the thing is that obviously you get more money, you can tap into these pools of money, but you as like a startup still have to deal with the heavy capex component of your business, right? And so what we're trying to do is essentially tackle it otherwise and change that profile from capex to opex. Because if you're in hard tech, what we try to do is, by way of UM6P, our partners, is to be able to provide, physical, resources or infra that will relieve you of the cost of buying that equipment. But also, even if you talk to startups, even more advanced in the US and so forth, at the end of the day, they have $1 million, they have to hire people, right? And so that's very, very costly. And we have that talent here. So that's why what we try to do as part of at least, working with these startups in hard tech and deep tech is, like we said, to relieve at least, the constraints, on skill and infra, at least to push them forward until such time they become confirmed, and then at that time they can get their own, equipment, and they can turn towards a CapEx profile.
Yeah, maybe just to comment quickly, I think venture debt is something that is still new on the continent.
Absolutely.
And all portfolio companies haven't had access or used venture debt yet. Yeah. However, I think it's a great alternative for companies to push, dilution and for it to be able to raise at the right time at the right valuation. Another way startups raise debt funding, it's something different, but the use of it is interesting, are the companies that are doing, mainly in fintech, that are lending to actually it's embedded finance, which is a very interesting vertical that is touching every sector. So it could be in pharma, it could be in real estate, it could be in anything. And they are building the infrastructure and using data in order to provide those small financing, small loans to their customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if I may comment,
Sure.
if you're done, but yeah, I mean, fintech is a really easy thing to be able to package for a lender because you are on lending to somebody else. And so there's an easy opportunity to kind of outsource your lending, I would say, to get it off your own balance sheet. By a financial institution, and the advantage for the financial institution in this sense is just that you have a really good view on the network that you're lending to and why you can kind of develop an alternative credit scoring system so that this underbanked individual can access capital, whereas they wouldn't be able to in other traditional senses. That said, I do think that there are a lot of other sectors that we see that are very working capital heavy. So anything logistics and supply chain related, anything where there's a trade transaction kind of going around, the flow of goods and services and things like that. And so those are, like you said, fintech is an overarching layer across a lot of different business models. We see companies who are solving core problems in other industries, but because of the hold or the relationships that they have with people on the ground, they're able to add a fintech layer. And so again, it becomes very sensible for a lender, but there are other sectors that we see a lot of working capital needs. So logistics and supply chain, like I said, also e-commerce fulfillment and all these kinds of business models, because they have CapEx needs, like they have warehousing, they might have fleet and delivery capabilities. And so we see also actually quite a bit of variation across, at the very least in Egypt, but also in other markets as well.
Okay. Yeah, so since we're talking about capital sources, so earlier we were looking at the growth in funding for African startups over the past couple of years. And there's no longer interest in Africa from the US or from anywhere else. It's going to dry up. Or there's a fancier market, right, apart from Africa. Whether it's LATAM, Southeast Asia, it's going to dry up. And so I usually say we need to start building local institutional capital. We need to start building a local ecosystem of investors on the continent. And I'll explain why and how. So firstly, going back, so when we invested in Andela in 2013, we tried to bring in a lot of local folks in there. People said no. So a lot of the capital came from Silicon Valley, right? In 2018, 19, 20, as Andela had exits, right, secondaries, the money flowed out back. People complained, but again, the money went back to where it came from. Now in 2016, when we went into Flutterwave, we were able to bring in 16 other angels with us, apart from our fund. Last year, when they became a unicorn and people had exits, the money came out and stayed within. I saw people start reinvesting that money in other startups in Nigeria on the continent. And that was deliberate. And so what we then did was, for the fund we just closed, we were very deliberate about growing an ecosystem of African investors. So we went to look for HNIs, we went to look for operators. So we even lowered the entry into our fund. Because when those people invest, they also feel a vested interest in supporting those companies. And you all know, very early in the life of the company, even more than capital, is access support, right? And so when you have someone who's a partner at McKinsey, who's also an LP in your fund, you have access to data, you have access to help. If someone is the CFO of an FMCG, you can structure partnerships. And then what we also then did was, we looked at a couple of local institutions, pension funds, banks. We didn't ask them to come and invest corporately. We asked individuals there, the executives there, a fund. Because by next fund, they would have had enough individual exposure. They will be the ones convincing their local institutions, their banks, their pension institutions to become investors in VC. So I think deliberately, we have to start growing these local ecosystems so that we're not at the mercy of external capital who can come in and who can also go out.
Just to comment on this, I think it's very interesting, and I'm definitely with you because we started building Outliers Ventures from day one with local investors and international investors, but we had to have one leading international investors from Silicon Valley to have others follow, and this is the reality. So, one. Secondly, yes, we have to educate the local LPs to become LPs and to start investing in this new asset class, because VC is a new asset class in Africa. And for that, success stories from the continent. So this is why it's great to see more companies raising capital at higher valuations. But more than that, we need to see them really succeed, not only about raising funding. Then the third thing is that the reality, unfortunately, today is that most of the VC funds raising capital in Africa, the number one source of capital is DFIs, unfortunately. They have done a huge work, I think, internally to start looking at seed, but it's still like, there's still a lot of work and it's still very challenging and complicated to have access to this capital, which is normal, for sure, but we lack alternatives. And this is why, yes, we need to educate more high net worth and maybe more corporates to start trusting and investing in this new asset class. And yes, it takes time and it's built step by step with small successes. And in the same time, it's becoming very competitive with more money coming in from outside. So, and it's great to see this boom on the African continent with more funding coming in. But I think it's also a time to market question.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's a lot of value in fostering local capital directed at local companies and local solutions for Africa. I do think, though, that other emerging markets are a bit more developed than we are. And so like, if you look at LATAM, Southeast Asia, these are much more developed entrepreneurial ecosystems. And so even if there might happen to be a withdrawal, I don't think that it'll ever dry up here. This is still kind of the last frontier of opportunities. You're looking at really, really scalable markets. And so this may be true for VC. I'll let you speak to that more on the VC front, but definitely from the lender perspective, these untapped markets provide the best possible returns because it's new. I wanted to say one other thing as well. It's escaping me. We could come back. Oh, actually, I remember. The other thing I think about this question of, why being at the mercy of international capital and whether or not they should be structured here or abroad. And I think that part of the onus is on kind of creating really favorable environments, regulatory environments here to keep our capital here, but also our startups here. And I'm excited that Plug and Play has organized the next panel about that, because I think that plays a big role into, like, for international investors specifically, I think they are comfortable in regulatory environments where they kind of speak that language, and we still have kind of a way to go here to be able to foster that environment for our startups here. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah, for sure. And yesterday, I think it would be also interesting to hear from you. So you are typically the case of a fund that functions with an LP that's less so DFI and much more on the corporate end. How do you see that potentially grow? Do you have, or do you give yourself the role of going out there in the market and also talking about it and kind of putting it as a discussion, right, as a debate? Or is it not something that you perceive as part of your role as a recent VC in Morocco backed by corporate LPs?
Yeah, so, I mean, we have also a mission and responsibility also to make sure that there is a leverage effect, over capital that is sort of brought in. Now, as far as our like legal/admin type of structure, we're a corporation. We're not une société de gestion de capital, and so we don't manage other people's money. But still, we have to be able to, essentially, be able to, defend at least that there has been pulled through of other investment. And so that's why we actually have been very, very creative with that, because we do JVs. And so when you do a joint venture in a particular domain, at minimum, you have doubled at least that capital to address that. And other times also, like we said, we combine like with the ecosystem. So everything that we do with like incubation, acceleration, with business angels and VCs, it allows us to combine there as well. Yeah, so yeah, we have one LP. I mean, clearly, and yeah, lucky us. Yeah, lucky us. But then, like we said, we have to be very, very creative. So that's why, either, JV or by theme, by vertical, we can multiply that. So that's why, we take very, very seriously this kind of capital leverage, type of logic. But we just don't apply it in the same way. We don't call for funds that we deploy. We co-deploy funds, and so it becomes easier for us to convince. I mean, especially, in deep tech. Because what you're doing, and we have tested our value proposition even in the US, and generally the other VCs, even in the US, generally, I mean, they come in with a business value proposition. The scientific value proposition is missing, and so that's why we have an easier time bringing others to co-invest by our side. It's just because we digest or mitigate a lot of the risk that is inherent in the asset base. Right, but also, given that we work with a lot of partners, and especially like subject matter experts in that domain, then it allows you to call for more capital to work with you. Yeah.
For sure. So I have a question, actually. So since we're in Morocco, right? So Morocco now is number 11, right, on the list of funds. Last year was $300 million, right, or thereabout. What is Morocco's unfair advantage? What will it take to 10x that, right? Well, maybe that's for people like Kenza who are here. Why should I, as a VC, why should I come invest in Morocco versus the 55 other countries?
Yeah, sure. Well, that's a great question, if I had the answer, but no. We are investing in Morocco already. We are here, and I believe Morocco is a great market to do that. Now we have also to be realistic. So if you compare Morocco to what? That's the question. So if you're looking at Egypt or Nigeria or Kenya, you're looking at very different markets. So first, in terms of market size, there are bigger markets. Then you have to look at the regulation. Is it enabling? Is it, especially in some sectors like fintech, which is the #1 sector in Africa. We haven't spoken about that yet, but we'll come to it because it's a very important point. So there are definitely advantages to invest in Morocco, but you cannot compare it to other market opportunities. So you have to invest in other markets and invest in Morocco as well, in the best founders that are coming up from this country and scaling to other markets. And they are great companies doing that. We have backed some of them. There are others that are raising and have raised capital and are already expanding. So it's about talents, it's about people, and it's about market opportunities that you can find in different markets. But here we have what it takes to build great companies if the founders are smart enough to pick the right sector and market opportunity and business model to make it happen, with a vision to expand the company and scale it regionally or continentally. So this is the types of founders that we are looking for, and we are very happy to have backed some of them already. And I believe we are seeing a growth in terms of maturity of founders and companies that are coming up from Morocco. So it's really about having access to the right deal flow and being able to be there from the beginning.
And access to a registration as well.
This is another question.
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
I mean, just dropping a bomb.
Yeah, I shared this earlier with Kenza and a few other people. There were a couple of deals that we looked at last year or 2 years ago would have done here, but we ran into this registration stuff. You use a safe, convertible, you can invest from outside, and if you don't fix those things, it just becomes very cumbersome for investors from outside to also invest here.
Definitely agree on that, and I will take this opportunity to like share something like a message, and this is something that we've suffered from as investors investing in Africa, but from Morocco, and we have had to pass on some deals because of this issue with the legal framework. So, and this is the reality in across Africa, that when a company is raising institutional capital, their investors that are coming from different places will ask them to reincorporate somewhere that is standard. And usually it's Delaware, it could be Amsterdam or other places. And this is just because it's facilitating the deals, the terms are standard, and investors are used to these regulations, to these jurisdictions. Now, Morocco had, until this year, it was complicated to take out companies outside, because as a Moroccan, you cannot create a company outside unless you have an agreement. And this process takes a lot of time. So we've been lobbying with different institutions and ecosystems jurisdiction of their choice to be able to get the investment. So this was a very important pain point that finally is being understood. To be honest, I don't know to which extent yet, so we'll see in the process, because, you know, but it's something that is important to be able to fast track this process and enable more investors like yourself to come invest with us in Morocco and together make them grow.
I think that's definitely a great transition to the next panel, which will be much more on the public sector side. So, for you here in the room who will be there, please cheer up for those type of questions. Super important. I think with this we're nearing the end of the panel. So I want to thank you all for having made time for this, and hopefully we can continue the discussion around a cup of coffee in a bit. I don't know, Sarina, can we have time to open the floor for one or two questions, or are we super tight on timeline? Yes, then let's take one or two questions from the audience. Merci beaucoup.
So, yes, we're continuing with the second round of startup pitches. Of course, the startups that have been selected within the acceleration program, the second acceleration program, just remind people, and of course you all know what is it about, but we also got an online audience. So thank you for being with us today. So yes, we are starting right away with the first startup pitch of a startup called Saweblia, which is literally translated from Arabic to English, is like make me something. I'm very curious to know, and Reda will tell us more about it. Please applaud him.
Hello everyone, I'm Reda, account manager for Saweblia. Today I want you to imagine yourself at your office waiting for a big client, and then you have a pipe that explodes. You don't know what to do. You have to call friends. You have to call your friends that's gonna recommend you a good service provider. Yeah, you call him. You're not sure if he's coming, or if he's coming at the good time. So what you're gonna do? Here, where Saweblia comes in with the good solution. The big problem is that you have no artisan to call. You don't know him. You don't know his quality of work or his pricing. So, yeah, sorry, it's my first pitch, so. So, yeah, the معلم is a handiwork, is the handyman, the man who's gonna do the work for you. So, like I said, you don't know when he's gonna come. You don't know if he's coming. So you have a problem. You have a problem. So Saweblia is here to walk you through a problem, using technology as a leverage, for. Yes, as a leverage for professionalizing home and office repair. I'm sorry, it's my first pitch, so I'm stressed. So, Saweblia, can I?
Let's proceed otherwise. I'm a
Sorry.
journalist, you know, so I ask questions in my daily work and every day. So, let's say I have a plumbery problem at home.
Yeah.
And so how can you help me? And I have someone that I can call, you know, the informal way. So how can you help me? How Saweblia solution is helping me, myself, a lady alone at home and...
So, as a lady at home by yourself, Saweblia can organize for you the work. You can have the pricing before the
yes,
handyman.
no surprises.
Coming. Yeah, no surprises. You can have the pricing before. You just have to take some pictures to show us what is your problem, and then we're gonna try to solve it for you in the same day. For example, for the case that I said, you are at your office, you're waiting for a big client in the afternoon, then you have a pipe that explodes. You don't know if the informal artisan will come, and if he's gonna come at time to solve your problem. So with Saweblia, you don't have these problems. So with Saweblia, we are organized. We have a professional team.
How are you organized?
Yeah, how it works.
Yes.
No need to be a member to use our services. A single point of contact for all your needs. A customer relationship manager takes care of your request and helps you to define your needs. We may need to arrange a visit with one of our works coordinators for complex requests. When the need is clear, we send you an estimate within 20 minutes to 48 hours, depending on the nature of the work to be done. As soon as you confirm the estimates, we schedule an intervention according to your availability. So our targets, households, young dynamic executives.
We have a lot of
B2B,
them here today.
Yeah, B2B, and then expats.
Okay.
Value proposition. Use technology as a leverage for professionalizing home and office repairs services in Morocco. Creates stable incomes for vulnerable population. So on the customer side, the quality plus trust. On the craftsman or handyman side, revenue and organization plus social incentive.
Cool.
Why now? Lack of market leader. We have digitalization of consumption habits. The customer has no longer time to wait to find out if the craftsman is coming today or not. Customer requirements increased by the presence of other on-demand digital services. need for a trusted third party in the post-COVID period.
Sure.
So here we focus on our artisans. We have a team of 60 recurrent active artisans, 100 being onboarded, and 200 in sourcing. So for a handyman, it take like 12 months of average seniority, 10 to 15 services per month, and monthly incomes increase for them. It's a big difference between informal sector and when they work in a
plus the social benefits, because they do benefit from all the social coverage, medical coverage with you.
Yes.
So,
they have insurance, they have social coverage, and all of that. So the market, actually we work only in Casablanca, and we hope to expand in other cities in Morocco, like Marrakesh, Rabat, Salé, Fès, or Tanger, Tétouan. Here's our current customer acquisition strategy: increase visibility, about 13 new organic customer each month, digital campaigns with controlled CAC at less than 100 dirhams per month, per campaign, attract leads on the form up to 350 demand received each month, cover more than 70% transformation or on processed requests, engage customer 38 repeats on rolling on six rolling months. We have also our supplier network. We work with approximately 35 resellers or suppliers. 80% of our services contains supplies sourced by Saweblia. And we have a range of eight services that we can afford for our clients.
Cool.
Here is a small
comparison, evolution.
Not solution. There's like sorry.
Yes. Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you, Reda. Just one last question. Why should I invest in Saweblia? You can answer in any language you feel like, even in Arabic, because we have Arabic speakers here. En français, libellic.
Okay. Today, Saweblia is helping the informal sector to get into the formal sector. It's helping the handyman on getting insurance, on getting social incentive, getting also social couverture sociale, and it's less risk for them, less risk for the companies. For example, if you are a company, you need bills, you need a guarantee. You need a lot of things that's gonna let you have some trust in the other part.
Yes.
So with Saweblia, we give the guarantee for every service we make, and also.
Great. So far, so good.
Yeah, and. We also have a team of professionals that are formed and controlled by another team of coordinators.
Yes.
So I think Saweblia can be trusted by our clients.
Great.
So that's it.
I already do. And don't worry about the communications.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a journalist, I'm an anchor. And before, like, I was terrorized and I was panicking of just seeing a mic. So don't worry, like, it's your first time and the next one is going to be much better. But bravo, Reda.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bravo. Wish you success. Next are Mint and Karim.
Ouais, je dois. Ouais.
Tu gères?
Ouais, c'est bon.
Okay.
Hi everyone. If there is one thing that can make or break your company, what would it be? It's your employees. So we know that employees are the most critical factor to the success of any company, and yet study shows that over 80% of all SMBs do not use a digital tool to manage this more critical, let's say, factor of success, the people. And so the way these SMB manage their employees right now, their HR, is either through sheer paperwork or through Excel sheet. And this can be really cumbersome, inefficient, especially if you have to deal with remote workers or hybrid workers. And so here comes MintHR, which is an easy-to-use, user-friendly, all-in-one employee management platform that simplify and digitize all the HR and IT processes of the company. And we cover the entire life cycle of the employee from hiring to retiring. And so what we do basically is that for the HR manager, we simplify their day-to-day management so that they can focus on more strategic tasks. For the employees, we provide them with at work with a digital experience at work, which is more pleasant. And then for the manager, we provide them an immediate access to the data. And so what we bring to the table for our clients is basically three main benefits. Simple and easy HR digital transformation, better compliance, and HR business intelligence. So we all know that companies right now are struggling with a world of work that is changing due to the COVID, how to manage your remote workers, your hybrid workers, how to manage the Gen Z that have maybe a different conception of work-life balance, how to manage this phenomenon that we live right now called the Great Resignation. And this is why right now the HR tech is booming with more than 140 billion total market value HR cloud, growing at a rate of 12%. And so far, there has been more than 2 billion USD raised in HR tech startup. The market we are focusing right now is Morocco, and hopefully by the end of this year, we'll start targeting other MENA countries, namely Saudi Arabia and UAE, because we start getting some traction from there, and because our platform is in our website and our platform is in Arabic as well. And afterwards, we expect during the coming year to expand globally thanks to what we call a product-led growth strategy. So product-led growth strategy is meaning that you have a free trial within your software, your client onboard themselves, and they start using the platform without any friction. So far, we have launched a few months ago, so we had a quite quick traction. Right now, we are serving more than 1,200 users. But what we are focusing on right now is more to keep working on the engagement and stickiness of our software within our client. And what we have found out from the client that are using right now the software is that they are saving up to 30 hours per month of administrative tasks. So our vision is to become some sort of the HubSpot for employees. And we believe that we have the right talent, experience, and technology to fulfill this ambition with myself as a CEO with more than 20 years of experience, my co-founder and CTO 12 years of experience, and Beatrice, who have recently joined us as a CMO. So thank you for your attention, and the floor is for my friend from Emata.
This was me 10 years ago, standing on the runway in Kiev, Ukraine. Now I understand that since last week this picture has a different meaning. But back in the days, I was a banker representing a very, very large bank. And I was flying to a farmer in Ukraine. And I was flying there because my bank knew that financing agriculture is a very attractive business. Sadly, the reality in Africa is totally different. There's not a banker in Africa that's going to visit the farmer, and even worse, farmers not even welcome in a bank branch in most of African countries. This is a big problem. Agriculture is the most important economic vector across Africa, representing 15 to 30% of GDP, but it only gets a few percent of all the loans. And as a result of this, farmers don't have access to the money that they need to invest in their farms. We're solving this using the best technology, machine learning, and a model driven by partnerships to make sure we reach farmers at scale. The model is quite simple. Step one, we give our partners the technology that we have developed to run their operations, and which at the same time allows us to get access to the data that we need. Step two, we use the data that we collect to run our alternative credit scoring algorithms, and in step three, we give the farmers the loans that they deserve, and we approve instantly. The pricing that we offer to our farmers is a game changer. Yes, we're slightly more expensive than the banks, but banks don't really finance farmers. Compared to the alternatives that farmers use today, we're up to 5 times more affordable. We launched our loans last year in the dairy sector. Last week, we launched our loans for the maize sector, and later this month, we'll be launching our product for the oilseed sector. We're in discussions with our first partner in coffee, and after we have launched that, we will be active in 4 out of the 5 largest agricultural verticals in East Africa. This alone represents a 20 billion market opportunity against which we are lending. Our team is an excellent combination of international experts and local expertise. We have Dario, who's a true quant and are heading our data science team. We have Lillian, who is amazing with users and decides the future of our product. And we have Davis, who is a tech guru and leads our tech team. And lastly, there's me. I have a background in banking and finance, including 4 years of agricultural financing. Our model is very difficult to replicate. We developed a lot of IP on the technology, as well as on the credit scoring side, where our algorithms are trained by years and years of data. We're unique in our partnership model, which gives us huge advantages in terms of lowering our distribution costs and improving our repayments. Lastly, our partners use our software every day and rely on us for their core operations, which makes our product very, very sticky. We are succeeding because we have cracked a notoriously difficult market. The market that we're targeting, the market of agricultural finance, is absolutely huge, and the need in Africa for agricultural loans each year is $240 billion. Our model works. We had positive gross margins from the beginning, driven by very low customer acquisition cost and very high repayment rate with a default rate of 0.2%. Yes, you heard that right, 0.2%. And lastly, we didn't just launch a product, right? We have invested not just in the technology, but also in the team behind it, which allows us to scale very, very rapidly. We've closed $1.3 million in non-dilutive funding so far, and we're actually currently raising our first equity round. We expect to close it in roughly 4 to 6 weeks, so if you're interested, please hurry up. For those of you doing debt investments, obviously we heard that during the previous panel discussion. We are raising debt as well to make sure we have enough on-landing firepower for our plans next year. Just briefly back to Kiev, Ukraine. Unfortunately, we as Emata will not be flying to visit our farmers, but at least we're making sure that the farmers are getting the loans that they deserve, and as such, we help to unlock the amazing agricultural potential of this continent. We are Emata, we're the future of farmer financing.
Hi, everyone. Are you aware that right now there is another pandemic in the world? It's the pandemic of mental health. According to the Center of Mental Health, they predicted that if we have more than one wave of COVID, the situation will be worse. And actually in Morocco, and according to our Minister of Health, 1 out of 2 Moroccans has mental health issues. So at Veezen, we are a work-life harmony platform dealing with mental health. Our DNA is the well-being of employees. We do this through 3 services. The first one is seminars of work-life harmony within the companies. The second one is psychological tests on anxiety, burnout, depression within the companies. And the third one is matching employees with a coach. We do different tests on stress, on addictions and disorders. And you may be wondering why coaching. Coaching has proven to be supporting employees on isolation, on reducing levels of anxiety, and also on increasing employee engagement. We are tackling both private life and professional life. If somebody has a family problem, he cannot focus all the day on his work, right? So now, after COVID, we have a new paradigm. Before we had a clear frontier between work and life, right? Now we no longer have this line. All is mixed. So we really need to find not a balance, but rather a harmony. We offer 3 packages. The first one is the Vital one, is the minimum one. Then on the Viking, you have a barometer of happiness within your company. And the last one is VP, is for board members. It's very premium coaching. We already have traction. We've closed our first client, and we have traction not only in Morocco, but also in France. We have a great technology behind our platform. We have an AI bot, chatbot, that you can download on iOS and Android. It's kind of mental health, WhatsApp of mental health. And we are building with the UM6P team a robot, Veezen robot. We will have this in the companies, and he will be talking to employees, checking on them, seeing if they are feeling happy, invite them to exercise, to drink water, and even to have their psychological tests on a more fun way. We are looking to raise $1 million because we want to move fast. We have a great traction right now, and we want to build the AI needed, the robotics, the VR cask and headsets and all this. The market is really, the corporate well-being market is really exploding right now, particularly after COVID. We have a great team of mentors. Some of them are here today. We're working with the artificial intelligence team from UM6P. They are all here as well. Thank you, Professor Barada. And we are very proud to say that we were born 6 months ago in Ben Grir. Thanks to the vision of our King, Mohammed VI, we have an incredible and amazing ecosystem. We're very proud to say that our CTO is from 1337, which is one of the best schools, like the best coding schools in Morocco. this is me and my co-founder, and we have our biggest asset is our team. Please welcome Veezen team. Who's next? Who's next?
Hi, everybody. So actually, I'd like to first extend a quick word of thanks to the Plug and Play team for this event and for organizing all of this and for their great support. Okay. So you can't change what you can't measure. And that's exactly what Wattnow does. It helps you change what you now can measure. So I'm going to present to you Wattnow, a Tunisian smart energy management solution. Companies today need to deal with wasted energy that can sometimes reach 30% in certain sectors. And at the same time, they're suffering because of high related maintenance costs. So at Wattnow, we help companies optimize their energy usage in order to reduce their costs and their carbon footprint. So we're an IoT solution. We're combining hardware and software. Our devices will actually collect real-time energy data, control and automate certain loads, and everything can be accessed on a user-friendly dashboard and mobile app. And all of this is to help you take control of your energy. It happens through real-time visualization, through alerts when saving or faults happen, through action with recommendation or predictive maintenance, and of course, through reports and analytics. So under the hood and powering actually our dashboard is our machine learning engine. It's composed of 3 main algorithms, so anomaly detection, energy disaggregation, and our forecasting algorithm. At the moment, our revenue stream is composed of hardware direct sales and the recurring revenue per device. So to give you a quick insight, basically in factories, devices deployed can be up to 200, can even go actually way further for cement plants, for instance. And usually for commercial buildings, it's around 10 devices that are deployed. As a next switch, we'll probably be moving to a hardware as a service model to remove those upfront costs. So actually, 2022 is going to be about scaling for us. We went to market in 2018, managed to grow tenfold in 2019, doubled that in 2020, and we reached around $300,000 of revenue in 2021. And actually, one of the great KPIs we're really proud of in this slide are the repeat orders. So 10 times, it really proves that our solution is working and solving an issue our customers are having. So speaking about our customers, they're actually pretty global and quite diverse. You know, we're working with retail, we're working with telcos, we're working with banks, we're working with industries, and even within the industries, actually, we're working with aeronauticals, we're working with cement plants, pharmaceuticals, and so on. So this is one of the successes we had with Orange, a telco in Tunisia. So actually, we just started by covering a few of their stations, their BTS stations in the country. Now we're covering all their 240 sites. And we actually managed to mitigate maintenance work by 60% and avoid 1,900 ton of CO2 equivalent. That's comparable in 1 year of the energy usage of around 200 US homes. And with Safran as well, thanks to Wattnow, actually, Safran was able to win the Safran Innovation Prize in the low carbon category, thanks to our solution. And they've also been able to mitigate energy usage by 20%. So we're actually addressing a pretty big market, specifically in the Middle East and African region. It's valued at $4 billion at 17% CAGR. And actually, compared to traditional actors, compared to system integrators, compared to cloud-based actors, we're offering a complete, robust, plug-and-play solution that's adapted to the realities and pain points of the emerging markets. In our markets, actually, a large amount of factories don't have any energy management system in place. So when we're using our own hardware, our own conceived and produced hardware, we can easily put in place such a system, with deployment in less than a day. For those already managing their energy, monitoring their energy, we can just gather that data, run it through our algorithms, and bring out the information and trends that matter in their specific industries. So in short, basically what makes us better, it's our data sets and algorithms, it's the fact that we're adapted to the emerging markets, and the fact that we can scale fast. So this is our team. It's mainly tech focused. We're talking software engineers, mechatronics engineers, energy engineers, and we've been able to get this far with this team, and we're not going to stop right now. So what's coming up next? We actually just closed a $1.3 million round as a pre-Series A. And so, as I said before, 2022 is going to be about scaling. We're looking for strategic partnerships, OCP, and all of them are I'd love to speak to all of you. And of course, the next opportunity to join would be our Series A round. It's coming Q3 2022. So I'll be in that booth right over there and waiting to speak and eager to speak to all of you. So thank you very much for your attention, and let's act today. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Salim, and I'm the co-founder of Jobop. Okay, in Jobop we have a mission to disrupt temporary staffing in Africa. The main challenge is that the workers and the majority of the workers and the companies are not satisfied with their agencies. Okay, sorry. By the business side, there's a very big lack of transparency for the background check of the workers. The problem is it's time-consuming process. The deal takes about 5 days to close for recruitment, and it's a high commission for the agencies, like between 15 to 30%. And from the worker side, they are restricted and passive access to work opportunities and limited growth career. That's where Jobop comes. We are a marketplace that connects. We are a marketplace that connects workers and businesses. With the simple idea, and the mission is to simplify this process. By how we do that? By giving access to companies to qualified and rated workers. When I said qualified, it's through our AI developed. We are able to accurate and provide accurate. Sorry, we are able to do proper and accurate matching with workers and companies. When I said rated all the companies after each missions. They rate the workers. Our business model is simple. We take 12% of commission of each job. It's cheaper than 30% than the traditional agencies. How does it work? It's very simple. 4 steps. We provide to workers and businesses to access to the platform. And in 4 steps, as I said, they can post recruitment or accept and do the jobs. This is a proven model across the world. For example, we have in Europe Job and Talent and Easy Work, which has raised more than 1 billion. Snag a Job in the US, and even in the Middle East, with Sabor, newcomer in Saudi Arabia. What we've done is to take this successful process and adapted it to the African specificities, which are 2. The continent is huge, as you said, and there is a lack of connectivity and, how can I say, education in some areas. When you talk about size of the market, as I said, the continent is massive. But if you take the 7 cities, they represent around quarter of the market. So these are the cities where we are focusing, and this is cities where we'll be extend and develop. According to the second point, I was talking about connectivity and education. Our go-to-market strategy is based on that sense. The main tool for recruiting the workers is what we call Jobopers. Jobopers are agents paid by commissions that we use in several neighborhoods. And as you know, I don't know for everyone, in Morocco and in Africa, everyone knows each other. So these agents are in charge with their iPads to identify and register all the workers, and they will be their day-to-day contact after that. We use that same logic with the grocery stores for Arabic-speaking and Moroccan-speaking, Mul Hanout. You go to your store, and you have the opportunity to apply and Jobop and find a job. For our roadmap, we are focusing in 2 elements: geographic expansion and new services. Geographic expansions, as I said before, we are reaching to get 7 countries in 7 cities in Africa, and new services. By the end of the year, we are launching financial services. Since our launch last year, we've been growing over 80% quarterly, with a MIR of 65 and 60,000 now, $60,000, over 5,000 workers, and about 2,000 missions. Our team is Adil, the CEO and the co-founder of Jobop. He's the genius brain behind the project. Mehdi, the CTO, and me. So thank you for listening. Hope to see you after that.
Thank you, Salim. Thank you. And yes, we're proceeding right now with the second panel discussion. As you all, or most of you, were here during the first panel discussion, which was about funding startups or the whole investment ecosystem in Africa, and all the challenges, and the main challenges that have been mentioned by the distinguished panelists that I recall will come from different countries of the continent, were about, first of all, access to the funding and the regulations. Of course, we are 54 countries in Africa, and each country has its own regulations. So today, as we are in Morocco, and it's the second Expo Day in Morocco, so we will focus on the regulation here in Morocco, how things can be changed to make the investment in startup easier and very accessible, as well as the politic of change, the monetary politic, public policies in Morocco. And if maybe I can start calling my distinguished panelist, Omar Idrissi Amraoui, who's representing the investment fund, Tamwilcom, and Zakaria Nasheed from the Department of Sectorial Funding at the Moroccan direction. I think I'm going to change my mic. Sorry. Merci. Okay. Oh, that's better. Zakaria Nasheed, you're welcome to join me on stage. If you allow me, I'm going to change the language because this panel discussion is going to be in French. So, Donc voilà, j'invite mes chers panélistes à me rejoindre sur le plateau, enfin en tout cas sur des formations professionnelles, sur scène. Zakaria, Omar, bonjour, ça va? C'est Zakaria, ça va, la Vesailik? Très bien. Et Omar Bako, qui est un expert en politique de change et qui a beaucoup à échangé avec nous en ce qui concerne les freins par rapport à la réglementation dans notre pays. C'est Omar Bako qui vient de nous rejoindre et qui va se joindre à nous sur scène. Bonjour, ça va Omar Labas? Installez-vous. Donc messieurs, je pense que vous n'avez pas eu le temps de... Enfin, vous venez d'arriver, donc tout à l'heure, il y a eu un panel qui a traité un peu des... merci beaucoup. Qui a traité de toutes ces questions relatives à l'investissement, bien sûr à la levée de fonds, aux capitaux qui sont investis dans les startups au Maroc. Mais il y a un grand problème par rapport à la réglementation, nous allons y revenir. Mais tout d'abord, si on commençait d'abord par les acquis. Zakaria Nachid, aujourd'hui, les politiques publiques s'intéressent de plus en plus à ce secteur de la tech, aux startups, à leur financement. Qu'est-ce qui a été fait jusqu'ici?
C'est bon,
oui.
Il y a du son. Donc, bonjour à tous. Donc, merci pour l'invitation tout d'abord. Je pense là, poser, c'est une question pertinente parce que aujourd'hui, on n'est plus à débattre de l'utilité ou de l'intérêt d'accompagner les startups. Donc, aujourd'hui, c'est une réalité. Le fait d'avoir cet événement, ça démontre qu'il y a toute une dynamique dans l'écosystème. Donc, en termes d'acquis, donc ça fait plus de 5 ans, 6 ans. Donc, il y avait, je dirais, une approche pour soutenir les startups, mais il a été accéléré davantage à travers le lancement de plusieurs initiatives. Je pense le fonds Innovinvest ou d'autres mesures qui ont vraiment apporté une valeur ajoutée pour répondre à une problématique, je dirais, importante, mais non des moindres, qui est le financement. Il y a d'autres sujets qui sont importants, mais ça a permis de lancer, d'enclencher et je dirais d'apporter des solutions, que ce soit en termes d'amorçage et d'accompagnement lors du démarrage d'un jeune entrepreneur, depuis vers des stades plus avancés à travers le financement dans des fonds d'investissement. Donc, et ça, on le voit, ce n'est pas uniquement le propre du Maroc, mais de par le monde, dans les expériences de différents pays, le financement de start-up, il a été amorcé à travers des politiques et des programmes publics qui souhaitent enclencher cette dynamique, je dirais, vertueuse et accompagner ces jeunes, je dirais, qui sont porteurs de croissance. Aujourd'hui, le nouveau modèle de développement, il a essayé d'apporter une nouvelle brique. Donc, c'est encore, je dirais, une tendance de fond pour encourager ces initiatives. Mais aujourd'hui, je dirais qu'il y a des programmes qui sont lancés par des acteurs de place, qu'ils soient publics ou privés. Il y a des choses qui ont été acquises, mais il reste encore des actions à entreprendre.
C'est pour ça qu'on va discuter de cela justement aujourd'hui. Omar Idrissi Amraoui, donc vous représentez le fonds d'investissement Tamwilcom, ex-caisse centrale de garantie. Zakaria a évoqué le fonds Innovinvest. Bon, c'est l'une des rares initiatives, j'ai envie de dire, publiques en faveur des startups. À votre avis, comment activer tout simplement cette levée de fonds au niveau du Maroc? C'est-à-dire que comment l'État peut donner un coup de pouce supplémentaire en termes d'investissement, en termes de financement à cet écosystème des startups?
Merci pour cette question. Alors, ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est déjà Innovinvest a démarré déjà en 2017 avec les premiers financements qui ont été distribués à travers Tamwilcom pour les premiers lauréats, premières startups. Donc Tamwilcom, c'est l'ex-CCG. Alors Innovinvest est venu répondre à une problématique de financement des startups à travers un ensemble de mesures. Une batterie de mécanismes de financement qui démarre depuis la partie prototypage jusqu'à l'accès au marché.
Donc
et
de
la
early
croissance.
stage, c'est-à-dire...
Early stage, mais également en VC. On apporte également des réponses en VC parce que, effectivement, Innovinvest, si on doit le segmenter, on va le segmenter en 2 composantes. Une composante soutien à l'écosystème qui inclut des financements en préamorçage, en subvention et en dette, à travers des structures d'accompagnement pour des startups. Et donc les financements pour des startups, mais qui sont déployés à travers des structures d'accompagnement, parce qu'au niveau de ce segment-là, l'accompagnement revêt une importance majeure. Pardon. Donc, et également une partie VC qui vient prendre le relais, et là on a 3 fonds d'investissement qui sont capitalisés à plus de 700 millions de dirhams. C'est pour dire qu'aujourd'hui, on a cette industrie, on a cette activité de fonds d'investissement qui fonctionne, et on a aujourd'hui quelque chose comme, donc depuis la structuration des premiers fonds en 2018 à aujourd'hui, on a près d'une vingtaine de startups investies à plus de 140 millions de dirhams. La problématique de financement aujourd'hui, elle ne se pose plus, parce qu'aujourd'hui, et peut-être les acteurs de l'écosystème peuvent partager cela avec moi. C'est vous qui le dites. Oui, effectivement, lorsque aujourd'hui il y a des financements
locaux, parce cette question a été évoquée tout à l'heure par rapport aux capitaux qui viennent de l'étranger et ceux qui sont investis finalement localement. Et c'est une réalité même en Afrique, comme l'a soulevé le panéliste du Nigeria tout à l'heure.
C'est une très bonne chose, parce que ce qui voudrait dire aujourd'hui que notre écosystème est en train de s'ouvrir. Ça veut dire qu'aujourd'hui, les initiatives publiques ont, en quelque sorte, on va dire, démontré leur efficacité. Aujourd'hui, il y a des investisseurs étrangers qui ont confiance dans notre écosystème, qui identifient des opportunités au sein de l'écosystème, qui viennent dénicher, chercher des pépites au niveau du Maroc. Mais ça ne veut pas dire qu'aujourd'hui, que nos initiatives publiques ne sont pas actives, ne fonctionnent pas, parce qu'aujourd'hui, Innovinvest, c'est 460 startups investies, financées en amorçage principalement, c'est 250 millions de dirhams d'engagement, et donc c'est plus de 30 brevets déposés, c'est des emplois créés, il y a tout un tas d'indicateurs qui témoignent en fait qu'aujourd'hui le Innovinvest produit des résultats. Innovinvest également a pu apporter de l'effervescence à l'écosystème à travers son réseau de partenaires.
Alors, sur le volet réglementation, Malbakou, donc vous êtes expert en politique de change. Beaucoup de défis se dressent aujourd'hui devant les startups. Déjà, est-ce qu'on comprend au niveau de la réglementation, du régulateur, qu'est-ce qu'une start-up et comment elle doit être réglementée? Quels sont aujourd'hui les défis qui se posent par rapport à cela pour une start-up au Maroc?
Oui, c'est bon. À vrai dire, au niveau de la réglementation d'échange en vigueur, il y a en principe une seule disposition qui a été mise en place.
Tout récemment d'ailleurs.
Tout récemment, suite à, je dirais, une recommandation du nouveau modèle de développement. Et le nouveau modèle de développement, il était un rapport paradigmatique, mais par rapport à cette question, donc il a mis une ligne dans laquelle il a été indiqué recommandé qu'au niveau de la réglementation d'échange, il faut des dispositions ou des mesures pour encourager les startups. Donc il y a eu cette mesure, mais finalement cette disposition, c'est dans la limite de 1 million de dirhams pour pouvoir effectuer des transferts par carte de paiement internationale au titre d'opérations d'information informatique et de télécommunication.
Donc c'est 1 million de dollars seulement, c'est limité à 1 million de dollars, à 10 millions de dollars, pardon.
C'est limité à 1 million de dirhams, mais c'est juste pour réaliser des opérations qui sont déjà prévues par la réglementation d'échange en vigueur, mais pour les réaliser par carte de paiement internationale. Donc, finalement, au niveau de cette mesure, il y a une définition un peu, je dirais, restrictive de la start-up. C'est-à-dire la start-up, on la comprend au niveau restrictif, c'est-à-dire que c'est une entreprise innovante dans les technologies de l'information et de la communication. Donc, il n'y a pas une définition large. Donc, c'est la seule disposition, je dirais, destinée aux start-up. Ajouté à cela, on peut également, je dirais, signaler une autre disposition en matière de voyage pour les entreprises naissantes, sans indication de start-up, etc. Mais à part ça, donc les start-up, d'une manière générale, donc ils sont dans le droit commun, donc qui offrent je dirais, une palette ou un ensemble de dispositions pour la réalisation d'opérations d'importation de biens et de services, de voyage, etc. Donc si on veut discuter de la réglementation d'échange, c'est applicable aux startups, on renvoie au droit commun, plus cette mesure que je viens de signaler, que vous avez mentionné.
On va certainement parler de recommandations peut-être et d'alternatives. On est aujourd'hui dans cet événement. Donc, si on pouvait relater aussi ce qui se passe. Comment vous pensez, Zakaria Nachi, donc vous représentez le secteur public, le ministère des Finances, la direction du Trésor. Comment est-ce qu'un tel événement, comment une telle initiative pourrait faire avancer les choses dans le sens où on retrouve des acteurs du public, n'est-ce pas, dans ce genre d'initiatives qui sont privées. Alors, comment peut-être installer, n'est-ce pas, ces dynamiques entre le public et le privé, peut-être que le public puiserait des idées et vice-versa, pour faciliter justement la chose aux acteurs du privé.
Je pense, effectivement, là vous posez le doigt sur une problématique majeure parce que il faut que chaque acteur intervienne là où il peut apporter le plus de valeur ajoutée. Donc, ce type de partenariat public que Omar a cité, le fonds Innovinvest, c'est en quelque sorte, c'est un partenariat public-privé. Donc, l'État a mis les moyens à travers la recherche d'un effet de levier pour attirer des investisseurs privés. Donc, l'État a mis 500 millions de dirhams, mais pour mobiliser de l'additionnel, un montant de 400 ou 500 millions de dirhams, pour l'orienter vers les startups. Donc, c'est une logique de partenariat public-privé où chacun il est gagnant. Pour répondre à la question, aujourd'hui, par rapport à la direction de Trésor que je représente aujourd'hui, donc nous avons une mission d'assurer le financement de l'économie sur des bases pérennes. En disant ceci, il y a plusieurs segments du marché qui doivent être servis, les PME, les TPE, et bien justement les startups. Et donc, notre souci, c'est développer, diversifier des sources. On en a parlé, je pense, dans d'autres occasions. Il y a le crowdfunding, il y a les OPCC.
Oui, mais là aussi, la réglementation pose problème.
La réglementation peut être, je dirais, dans la durée de mise en place, mais la réglementation, elle est là pour plus accompagner, offrir de nouvelles opportunités.
Et faciliter.
Et faciliter, parce que pour développer un écosystème, il y a les startups, mais il y a d'autres acteurs, il y a les investisseurs, il y a les structures d'accompagnement. Il faut que cette réglementation, il ne faut pas que ça se réduise uniquement à la réglementation. Il y a des enjeux, la réglementation elle est importante, mais, la réglementation est importante, mais aussi il faut développer tout ce qui est accompagnement, qui est aussi essentiel pour amorcer ces jeunes startups, pour développer le deal flow, pour attirer des investisseurs, qu'ils soient locaux, internationaux. Donc, par exemple, tout ce qui est marché de capitaux avec l'instrument des OPCC, les organismes de placement collectif du capital, qui est un véhicule d'investissement sécurisé, transparent, qui offre des garanties à des investisseurs locaux, internationaux, pour lever des fonds et les destiner vers des startups, vers des PME qui cherchent à se développer. Donc, c'est un écosystème global où il y a un maillon, un continuum de financement, d'accompagnement. Lorsque nous avons un maillon qui est insuffisant, toute la chaîne, elle tombe à travers les différents secteurs. Innovinvest, c'est une brique. Depuis l'amorçage de l'initiative, on voit que d'autres acteurs portent d'autres initiatives. Nous avons l'OCP qui a aussi mis beaucoup d'efforts et l'Université Mohammed VI. Nous avons d'autres acteurs tels que la CDG aussi. Donc, ça démontre qu'il y a une effervescence de secteur. On n'est pas de dire que tout est complet, mais il est en construction. Il reste encore des points très, je dirais, essentiels qu'il faut compléter pour...
Ce sont les points que vous avez cités ou il y en a d'autres ?
Le système, il est toujours en construction. C'est-à-dire, on ne va jamais atteindre et de dire on est performant à 100%. Pour le Maroc, on a amorcé des initiatives. Il y a des efforts qui sont mis en place. On ne va pas dire que tout est bon, tout il marche à 100%, mais il reste encore du travail pour approfondir. Comme j'ai cité tout à l'heure, le crowdfunding, il faut développer des initiatives et le mettre sur le marché. Les OPCC comme un instrument d'investissement, le fonds Innovinvest pour compléter, attirer des investisseurs privés. Et bien sûr, ce qui est important, je pense, à ce stade, c'est l'accompagnement. L'accompagnement de la phase de l'idéation avec tous les process, parce qu'il faut matcher entre un besoin, je dirais, de start-up et aussi une opportunité d'investissement pour un investisseur.
Très bien. Oui, peut-être je fais réagir Omar Idrissi, parce qu'on a deux Omar, donc je dois peut-être faire la différenciation entre les deux. Si vous nous donniez des exemples de success story, de startups que vous avez accompagnées, pourquoi ça a marché et comment s'est cristallisée cette symbiose entre initiative publique et investissement privé.
Bon, alors, comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure, sur les 460 projets qu'on a financés, il y a un certain nombre, donc on a quelque chose comme 150 projets qui ont été réalisés, on va dire, qui commencent à se positionner sur leur marché respectif. Et donc, on a des startups dans tous les secteurs. On a des agritech, des health tech, ou encore des secteurs, des startups dans la mobilité. Et dont certains d'ailleurs ont été présentés aujourd'hui. Donc, certains des startups présentées aujourd'hui sont des startups qui ont été financées par Innovinvest. Alors, je ne pourrais pas citer un ou deux cas parce qu'il y en a d'innombrables cas de success story qu'on a. Juste pour donner un chiffre plus parlant, sur notre portefeuille, on a près de 90 startups qui ont pu lever des fonds en capital, non seulement à travers Innovinvest et donc à travers nos 3 fonds d'investissement, mais également dans le cadre d'autres initiatives. Donc, que ce soit des initiatives d'accélération de VC locales ou internationales. Donc, et on parle de valorisation qui est aussi entre, on va dire, 10 millions à 80 millions, voire plus de dirhams. C'est pour dire qu'aujourd'hui, effectivement, on est sur une dynamique très intéressante. Effectivement, aujourd'hui, nos startups, comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure, ils commencent à être visibles sur les radars des VC étrangers pour des levées de fonds plus conséquentes. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, nos fonds sont positionnés sur de la série A. À un moment donné, nos startups doivent pouvoir lever des fonds, des tours de table plus importants. Et aujourd'hui, nos startups commencent à être visibles, à être, on va dire, draguées, si on veut, par des VC étrangers, ce qui n'est pas pour nous déplaire.
Justement, des initiatives telles que Plug and Play ou en tout cas de telles organisations peuvent faciliter cela. Comment en inviter d'autres? Comment justement faire de ce genre de facilitateur, j'ai envie de dire, comme une locomotive pour en attirer d'autres? Parce qu'on n'attire pas que de l'investissement, on attire aussi, n'est-ce pas, des companies, des structures qui sont spécialisées dans cela, c'est leur corps de métier finalement. Est-ce qu'il y a une stratégie peut-être dans ce sens?
Alors moi je dirais, il y a une seule recette, en fait, c'est l'effet démonstratif. C'est démontrer qu'aujourd'hui notre écosystème est assez mature pour pouvoir générer des startups à fort potentiel. Mais il faut juste attirer l'attention sur le fait que lorsqu'on avait structuré Innovinvest et que en fait, le terrain était quelque sorte vierge, on a fait l'effort de pouvoir attirer des investisseurs privés. Parce que comme j'ai dit, sur les 500, Innovinvest est doté d'une taille. Si on additionne tous les composantes, on y parle de quelque chose de près d'un milliard, d'un milliard, on va dire. Donc, et uniquement 500 millions de dirhams a été injecté par l'État. Le reste, c'est des investisseurs privés. C'est des investisseurs privés qu'on a intéressés grâce à des montages juridiques et financiers qui ont fait qu'ils ont été intéressés par la destination Maroc. Maintenant, on espère que dans l'avenir, on n'aura pas à jouer, à faire ces montages, cette gymnastique pour attirer des privés, mais c'est uniquement, on va dire, le produit de l'écosystème marocain, la start-up, qui pourra faire en sorte que les VC, et, enfin plus généralement les investisseurs privés, s'intéressent à notre pays.
Marbakou, peut-être que vous aviez quelque chose à dire tout à l'heure sur ce qui a été développé par Zakaria. Il a allumé.
C'est juste par rapport à la question réglementaire. Je pense qu'il y a un problème à travers, je dirais, mon vécu professionnel et à travers ce que c'est qu'il y a à la fois une problématique fiscale et de change. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, oui, la question des startups, c'est que nous avons une réalité aujourd'hui. Et je pense que la réglementation, d'une manière générale, ou la régulation, doit rattraper une réalité qui existe déjà. Et ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il y a plusieurs, je dirais, personnes qui mettent en place des startups. Ils s'installent, par exemple, aux Émirats Arabes Unis. Et ils voyagent je dirais, ils font une navette, ils voyagent 3 fois par an, 4 ans pour la question de la résidence. Mais ils ont là-bas un cadre très attrayant sur le plan fiscal et puis ils ont une libéralisation de change totale. Et donc, la problématique aujourd'hui, c'est comment réussir à attirer des gens, à les faire venir ici.
C'est la solution plus que la problématique.
Plutôt la solution, ce que je voulais dire. Donc c'est ça, il faut travailler sur ça. C'est-à-dire, nous ne sommes pas en train de construire quelque chose, mais nous sommes en train de rattraper une réalité qui existe déjà. Et en préparant, je dirais, cette intervention, j'ai fait une petite enquête. J'ai appelé des personnes qui sont venues me voir à l'époque pour monter leur entreprise, etc. Et quelqu'un, un grand influenceur qui est maintenant installé aux Émirats, il m'a dit qu'il a fait une enquête auprès de 4000 personnes, start-upers, et il a trouvé qu'il y a une spécificité au Maroc. Le start-upper marocain, il a une particularité par rapport même, je pense, il m'a dit aux États-Unis, en Irlande, c'est que 15%, un chiffre comme ça, sur 4000 personnes, qui sont attirés ou qui ont déjà entamé les démarches pour mettre en place des startups, mais dans le domaine de la spéculation financière. C'est-à-dire que nous sommes un pays, vu le profil, par exemple, de notre cadre réglementaire, etc., qui ne s'apprête pas à ce genre de choses, mais je dirais les jeunes Marocains sont attirés. Donc nous avons une jeunesse mondialisée, qui est connectée à la mondialisation, qui est déjà sur le terrain, qui a entamé des choses, et que nous partons à fond perdu parce qu'ils sont déjà installés, je dirais, dans d'autres cieux. Et donc, il faut prendre en considération tous ces aspects-là. Et ce n'est pas une problématique juste qu'on peut situer dans un segment réglementaire, mais il faut une approche globale, par exemple fiscale, de change, et les autres, je dirais, des instruments d'écosystème.
C'est ce qui handicape aussi la fintech made in Maroc, peut-être que la fintech au Maroc, par rapport à d'autres pays africains. C'est ce cadre réglementaire. Détrompez-moi, messieurs, si je me trompe. C'est ce que ça a été développé tout à l'heure. Et c'est quand même un segment qui est des plus prometteurs en termes de start-up. Et le Maroc est très en retard par rapport à d'autres pays africains là-dessus.
Oui, ils ont développé je dirais, ils ont tout un système. C'est-à-dire, il m'a parlé, je lui ai posé la question, quand vous travaillez, il m'a dit, il y a la banque online, parce que déjà, il l'a soulevé. C'est banque online, donc ils ont un compte, ils ouvrent un compte, ils réalisent toutes leurs opérations à partir de ce compte, ils l'alimentent à partir de fonds de leurs proches parents à l'étranger, et donc ils travaillent, ils réalisent leurs opérations, ils sont installés à l'étranger, donc ils font des affaires. Donc il a soulevé un certain nombre de problématiques qui ne sont pas prises en compte.
Il contourne les problématiques qu'il y a déjà et les
freins
qu'il y a
contourne
déjà.
les problématiques, mais ce qui perd la perte, c'est au niveau de notre, je dirais, du Maroc, c'est-à-dire les banques, l'État, etc.
Oui.
Donc ce sont généralement des gens qui ont trouvé leur solution et qui ont contourné je dirais,
Oui, mais du coup, Zakaria Rachid, ça fait quand même un manque à rattraper. Qu'est-ce que pourrait faire l'État pour... déjà sur le volet fiscal, puisque ça a été soulevé par Omar Bakon.
Peut-être mes collègues des impôts, ils ne sont pas là aujourd'hui, ils répondraient mieux que moi. Mais je dirais sur la fiscalité, elle ne revient pas uniquement au niveau des startups, elle revient dans tous les secteurs. Donc c'est une problématique qui est mécaniquement posée. Mais je pense, de mon point de vue personnel, il faut avoir des drivers. Donc il y a des faits névralgiques. Donc pour un investisseur, c'est la rentabilité. Lorsqu'on est rentable, on peut payer notre fiscalité, mais il ne faut pas qu'il soit, là on est tout à fait d'accord, il ne faut pas qu'il soit un point de blocage. Il faut qu'elle soit intégrée dans un dispositif global. Peut-être je n'ai pas eu le temps de dire toutes les initiatives. Donc, il y a aussi, par exemple, récemment, il y a eu la publication de la réforme de la société par action simplifiée. C'était justement pour permettre la structuration des startups, parce qu'il y avait la SAR, il y avait la SA. La société par action simplifiée permettait de répondre à une problématique précise. Il y a les business angels aussi, il faut développer. Donc le Trésor, il a essayé de mener des programmes d'accompagnement parce qu'il ne reste pas, je dirais, apparent comme à l'image d'autres écosystèmes où il apporte beaucoup de solutions. Donc la fiscalité, c'est nécessaire, mais ce n'est pas suffisant. Ce n'est pas avec la fiscalité qu'on va développer un écosystème. Il ne faut pas qu'il soit, je dirais, comme un handicap dès le départ. Il faut qu'il accompagne, mais ça dépend, je dirais, de niveau de maturité, d'un écosystème, de développement des acteurs. J'ai parlé des fonds d'investissement, des business angels. Demain, on aurait les plateformes de crowdfunding. Donc, tous ces acteurs-là, la fiscalité devrait l'accompagner, mais ce n'est pas avec la fiscalité qu'on va résoudre toutes les problématiques de scalabilité des startups, d'accès au marché, de développement, pour attirer des investisseurs privés qui restent aussi internationaux, qui restent un indicateur de performance de notre écosystème. Donc, c'est cette vision holistique où il y a bien entendu l'apport des acteurs publics, pas uniquement l'État et ses démembrements, donc, et Tamwilcom, bras de fer je dirais, de l'État en termes d'appui au financement, et aussi d'autres acteurs publics. L'État, elle est pour développer cette stratégie, cette vision, et construire chacun dans son domaine, je dirais, les actions nécessaires.
Omar Idrissi, si on parlait de l'écosystème, parce que depuis tout à l'heure, ce terme est très souvent répété. Est-ce qu'on dispose déjà réellement d'un écosystème en bonne et due forme au Maroc? Si non, ou pas vraiment, comment le développer, comment le construire les bases sont là, mais en tout cas, comment l'ériger?
Alors la réponse est simple, oui, on dispose d'un écosystème parce que on dispose de l'ensemble des composantes et des acteurs qui doivent normalement faire, on va dire, compose cet écosystème. Alors, on a donc des universités qui intègrent dans leur cursus donc des programmes et des formations à l'entrepreneuriat, qui aujourd'hui engagent ou mènent des concours estudiantins, qui disposent même parfois de leur propre incubateur. On a des acteurs de l'accompagnement et de l'investissement. Ils sont innombrables aujourd'hui. Ils jouent leur rôle, tant bien que mal. On a des corporates qui ont compris aujourd'hui que pour rester compétitif, il faut innover, et que pour innover efficacement, il ne faut pas le faire en étant cloisonné, qu'il faut s'ouvrir. Et donc aujourd'hui, ils intègrent des startups dans leur processus de R&D à travers des programmes d'open innovation notamment. Et on a enfin une politique publique, une volonté publique. On a des initiatives qui viennent driver tout ça, qui viennent fédérer tout cet effort à travers notamment, je ne vais pas encore citer Innovinvest, mais on en a d'autres. Hein. On a des programmes de la CDG ou bien entendu de l'OCP. Tout ça fait aujourd'hui qu'on a un écosystème, un ensemble d'acteurs qui cogitent, qui cohabitent. Mais pour vraiment parler d'efficacité de l'écosystème, je dirais qu'on a encore du travail à faire. Alors, les next steps pour un écosystème efficace, ça va être la démultiplication du nombre d'acteurs, ça va être leur spécialisation. Aujourd'hui, effectivement, on est sur la plupart de nos structures d'incubation ou d'accélération ou nos VC sont très souvent généralistes. Demain, lorsque l'écosystème va se spécialiser et que l'on va dire le vivier de projets et le vivier d'entrepreneurs devient plus profond, on pourra voir en fait des acteurs qui se spécialisent dans des thématiques données ou dans des secteurs donnés. Mais disons qu'aujourd'hui, on a parcouru un chemin. Il faut encore faire des efforts pour atteindre certains niveaux de maturité de pays tels que du même niveau que les nôtres, et je parle là de certains écosystèmes un tout petit peu plus matures au niveau de la région MENA, tels que l'Égypte
et la Tunisie aussi.
Voilà.
Omar Bakou, juste un dernier tour de table, messieurs, et si on devait s'orienter vers l'avenir, déjà le là a été donné par Omar sur ce qui doit être fait. Le next step, Omar Bakou, pour améliorer et stimuler l'entrée des startups sur les marchés, en termes bien sûr non seulement de régulation de change, mais selon votre avis en tant qu'expert, les leviers à activer là tout de suite pour attirer plus de de start-up et booster leur croissance dans l'avenir?
Je pense qu'il faut... bon, nous avons un nouveau modèle de développement et nous avons, je dirais, un monde qui bouge. Et donc, il faut qu'on change de logiciel donc, par rapport à l'approche de l'État en matière d'entrepreneuriat. Parce que nous sommes face à une population qui est totalement différente des anciennes générations. Donc, il faut que c'est l'État qui doit aller vers eux parce qu'ils se débrouillent sans l'État. Et en premier lieu, en deuxième lieu, il faut une approche en termes de temps. Parce que si on reste dans cette approche où une approche, je dirais, incrémentaliste, demande-offre. Il y a le problème, on l'observe, on reste 3 ans en train de réfléchir et après on l'intègre, etc. On perd beaucoup de temps. Donc il faut une approche globale pour les startups. Il faut que ça soit intégré et il faut les ramener. C'est-à-dire que c'est l'État qui doit faire le travail. D'abord, déjà, ils ne sont pas constitués en termes de fédération. Il faut qu'elles fassent l'effort de les structurer, de créer l'écosystème et de les intégrer. Donc, pour moi, c'est ça l'approche.
Merci. Zakaria.
Je pense comme tout a été dit, aujourd'hui on est une phase je dirais, de maturité d'un écosystème. Il y a des choses à compléter. Si on souhaite, bien sûr, dans cette logique je dirais, de continuité et de rupture, parce qu'il faut poursuivre tout ce qui a été fait capitaliser. Il y a certains volets qui mériteraient d'être renforcés, l'accompagnement, la professionnalisation de l'accompagnement pour développer un vivier de deal flow, démultiplier les opportunités de financement à travers donc, ce qui a été dit, un effet de démonstration qui a été présenté dans le cadre du F2I. Comme ça, on pourrait aussi créer des possibilités d'accès au marché parce que ces startups devraient se développer à un moment donné. Il faut créer ces canaux. Aujourd'hui, donc, le monde des startups, il est internationalisé, donc il n'y a pas de frontières. Donc il s'agit aussi de développer ces opportunités de connexion, mais aussi en ayant cette vision de développer notre écosystème national, qu'il y ait un ancrage au niveau national, ça, je dirais avoir un ancrage sur nos compétitivités par rapport aux d'autres écosystèmes, aussi pour développer les startups marocaines, mais aussi attirer des talents internationaux comme ça pour être en synergie.
Next step, pour finir, hommage Idrissi, pour finir. Qu'est-ce qu'on devrait attendre de Tamwilcom, à part le changement de nom, enfin, à l'avenir?
Bon, alors notre mission reste fondamentalement la même. Oui, effectivement, ça a déjà été un exercice. Alors, notre mission reste fondamentalement la même, c'est celle de faciliter l'accès au financement aux entreprises et les startups notamment. Donc, tant qu'il y aura un gap à couvrir, on sera là, que ce soit à travers Innovinvest ou à travers d'autres dispositifs qu'on pourra mettre en place. Aujourd'hui, Innovinvest est en train d'être revu et repensé. On a atteint la mi-parcours. C'est l'occasion de se poser des questions sur ce qui a bien marché, sur ce qui a été moins bien, et donc de pouvoir redesigner le dispositif pour mieux convenir aux besoins des startups. Effectivement, il y a ces sujets qui ont attrait à l'international, à l'implantation à l'international. Il y a le sujet de l'accompagnement qui doit être bien repensé, parce qu'aujourd'hui, effectivement, l'un des talons d'Achille du fonds Innovinvest reste le sujet de l'accompagnement, qui même s'il est efficace, mais on va dire que nos structures d'accompagnement font un énorme travail, finalement, et engagent des ressources importantes, mais que derrière, il va falloir qu'on ne soutient pas assez, il va falloir penser à le soutenir, parce que c'est grâce à ça, parce que finalement, c'est à travers ces structures d'incubation et d'accélération qu'on pourra faire émerger des projets qui pourront ensuite être investis par peut-être Plug and Play et par un CIF, un Azure ou un UM6P Ventures. Donc on est en train il y a tout un tas de sujets sur lesquels on est très focalisé. Donc voilà, je pense.
Merci. Mais en tout cas, l'idée est là, beaucoup d'ambition, on connaît nos failles. Et on espère vraiment que le dialogue est vraiment établi avec les pouvoirs publics afin de faire accélérer les choses. Nous sommes dans une nouvelle voie de développement et elle est intrinsèque au développement de cette, je dirais pas de cette Startup Nation, mais en tout cas de cet écosystème de start-up. Merci à Omar, Zakaria et Omar d'avoir enrichi la discussion. Nous allons bien sûr continuer notre journée. Je vous invite à rejoindre vos sièges. Et bien sûr, on peut vous applaudir. Moi-même, je vais... So, before last but not least, we're having a break or we're just proceeding? Okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed with one of the main events of the event, which is about announcements. Announcements, very critical and important announcements. So I'm inviting again the people at the lounge area to join us. There is important stuff coming. So yes, I think we can let the chairs. So we have announcements, Serena. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. J'adore
Okay.
partager la scène avec toi. Comme ça.
Moi aussi, on fait bien la paire. Donc du coup, on parle comment? Français, arabe?
We can do franglais.
Okay.
Franglais
On finit
is a
en
nice
beauté,
thing.
on finit en beauté.
Yes.
Voilà.
We should invite Diego to join us.
Sure.
Maybe can I have the clicker, please?
So just...
Merci.
And let me introduce you to...
What? How are we here? Okay.
To the...
Yes. Here we go.
Program manager, quand même. Serena Amini.
Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you for your time and thank you for being here today. As Sarina said, we're now going to go ahead and announce our investments, as well as making a few other announcements. But I wanted to begin by thanking everyone for making the time to be here today. It really means a lot, and also thanks for listening to my previous keynote. You didn't have much of a choice, but I appreciate it regardless.
Aziz, come.
The rest of the team, could you join us on stage?
Wissal. Wissal. Yallah. Please. So I would like to say thank you to Diego because you've done an amazing work pushing for investments. You know, we came here with the purpose also of, you know, fostering putting some money in the ecosystem and giving back to the community here in Morocco and those young entrepreneurs. Obviously, they've done an amazing job, and the pick was very hard because they're all really good. So yeah, I can let you maybe introduce the first investment.
Of course. Well, thank you, Sarina, and thank you, everyone. So first, we'd like to announce our investment in Wafr. Of course, it's been a pleasure to have Ismail throughout the batch. And we're extremely excited to make a commitment of $70,000 to their ongoing fundraising. So we'll be definitely inviting the founders onto stage also to give out the checks. So we have brought actual checks. But yeah, of course, if the other investors, you haven't spoken with Wafr yet, you definitely should. It's one of the companies we're the most excited about. They're disrupting a space. They're playing in a closed loop in fintech, building a digital wallet, and they're truly achieving amazing traction, as you saw in the pitch. So we're very excited to be backing Ismail in this deal. And we're looking forward to continuing to growing the business together, not just in Morocco, but across the whole continent and accompanying him to great success. So we want to congratulate him. The check is coming. I see it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Do you want to say something?
Just thank you very much. It was really, really cool doing this program with you. And super happy to have you within Wafr. And I'm sure of one thing is that the best is yet to come, and we have a lot to achieve together. So really, one thing that I want to say is really thank you. It was amazing to work with you guys.
Awesome. So I think we are ready to move on to announce our second investment. Sarina, if we could, oh, okay, right, it's behind me. Awesome. So we would like to welcome Salim from Jobop as well to announce our second investment of $50,000. We're super excited to be backing them as they disrupt the future of work with temporary labor. So congratulations. Do you want to say anything?
Just as you saw, I'm not very comfortable with this exercise. So just want to thank you for this, and a huge thank you to Diego, and thank you to Stargate to greeting us. So hope to see you again. Huh?
Awesome. And now for our last investment, we want to bring Deepecho on stage. Deepecho is a product that's, they're helping with detection of fetal growth restrictions. It's a very deep technology. They're working with AI, and we're extremely excited to back them, not only because they have a great team with extreme technical knowledge, but also because they really are going to make a difference in shaping up prematernal health in emerging markets. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure to be here with you and to meet you all. We definitely hope that Plug and Play will help us on our endeavor and help us actually go global. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you call all three? Of course. Perhaps could we get all of our new portfolio companies to take a family photo? Hey, guys, come on, if you can.
With the checks.
With the checks. Come with the checks. Yeah, exactly.
Al-Khefe is here for the next part.
Guys,
Merci à tous. Thank you so much for your time. We're approaching the end of our ceremony, but before we finish, we want to announce a new partnership that we just signed with a wonderful partner that I'm calling on stage. Please, UM6P Ventures, Yasser Biaz, come on stage to join us to announce this new partnership.
Thank you. So,
A few words, the floor is yours.
yeah, sure, and I'm preparing also Lotfi to come join me to
Of
take
course.
part in this announcement. So I wanted to thank you so much and also place some context. So just to remind where this relationship kind of originated is, obviously with OCP, UM6P, in the place of Startgate. So we've had the pleasure and luxury of being able to engage with you via Startgate. And after we've been working with you, we realized that we want to further enhance our relationship and go vertical. And so those two verticals that we're announcing today doing together are agrobiosciences and health medical sciences. So in the particular case of agrobiosciences, it's a larger nomenclature which incorporates ag-food, ag-tech, and biotech. And we reckon that in order for us to go after these things, we need a more complete system or ecosystem, right? And so that means a program, non-dilutive support system, and then the actual investment. And so we're really proud and happy to be able to work with you. And also just to place this, so Plug and Play will continue the ongoing cohorts. And so we're going to add 2 vertical modules to, specifically dedicated to these 2 verticals. And so who better than our partner, and Lotfi, please come in and just say a word, and just also to reflect on it. So essentially, with the support of the university that has footprint, science kind of substance and so forth, but having OCP and Le Domaine just gives us a very, very exhaustive coverage of the supply chain from the inputs all the way to the consumer. And so we're really proud and happy now to be able to at least, count you guys as partner, Les Domaines. So please, just a word.
Thank you, Yasser. Thank you, Plug and Play, for this opportunity. We at Les Domaines are very happy for this partnership, and we are very happy that agriculture is in the interest of such a program, because agriculture now needs innovation, and innovation needs startups. And we at Les Domaines, our mission is to offer to the world the best of agriculture. And this best of agriculture should meet our consumers' needs, which are now in the number of 5. Consumers need food and natural ingredients to be tasty, healthy, sustainable, traceable, and affordable. And what is better than agrobioscience and agrobioscience accelerator program to help us as a corporate meet these needs. So I'm very happy for this partnership, and I'm looking forward to welcoming all these beautiful startups to our firm.
Thank you so much. And again, please just count on us, communicating a little bit more, and also, working with, further, industry partners and so forth, like, throughout the continent. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Yasser. We're super excited for that partnership, and it's time to grow. We are here to stay, and we are here to grow. So take Yasser's example and join us at Plug and Play. So I will now close the ceremony very gracefully and very shortly, because you are all hungry. I know that. So I am Serena Amini. I'm the responsible of this event and the program manager for Plug and Play Morocco. We have closed the application for batch 3, which starts in, actually started this morning. We had 2 events in the same day. This morning we had selection day for the 3rd batch, which kicked off the 3rd batch. And we're starting with our focus weeks starting end of March. And then we're gonna have the same event, but even better, on June 24th, because it's always getting better and better and better. So thank you so much, guys, for your time, for your energy, for being here, for supporting us, for helping us do our job, because you're doing yours. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good night. Thank you, Khadija.